Conversation.
Happy 20th anniversary, DK Vine! Sorry I can't be there in person to celebrate. I'm in hell.
Hello, and welcome to the Kongversation. I'm Hyle Russell.
And I'm Matt Cornah.
Matt Cornah.
Yeah.
Matt Cornah.
That's
How
me.
are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Happy birthday, DK Vine!
Yes, it was 20 years ago today that I pushed it out of my birth canal.
Yep.
That's not true.
It was your beautiful bum baby.
Well, it also came out of Chad, so I don't know really.
It was a collaborative bum baby.
Okay.
What a way to start the show, though, right?
Yeah. Matt, how the hell did we last this long? Based on the way we started this episode, how the hell have we lasted for 20 years as a site?
Yeah. Don't worry about it. Cancelled. Cancelled now, sorry.
DK Vine cancel. That's fine. No, we've lasted for far too long. We launched on August 20th, 1999. And as we alluded to in the bum discussion just now, it was a joint venture between me and one Chad McKenna. And if you can do the maths, that does mean this is our 20th anniversary. And I can do the maths. I can count.
I do appreciate the adding of the S to the end of maths there.
Doing it for you, Matt. But
Thanks,
unfortunately,
mate.
I can't count past 20. It's a defect in my education. So
Yeah, you've got a kind of human millennium bug.
Yeah, exactly. So this will be the last anniversary
Yeah.
I'll be able to celebrate for our site, which is probably good.
Yeah, I think once you've done the 20th anniversary, you shouldn't be doing any more anniversary things ever. That's the last one you should do.
Yeah, we did a 15th one, and I'm wondering why we did that. All things considered.
I suppose because we didn't seriously think we'd carry on for another 5 years.
I guess, yeah. A lot has changed in the last 5 years, which we'll get into in this episode. But, you know, this episode isn't here to congratulate us, DK Vine, for not dying. Because we could do that. Believe me. Look, there were many times I could have died in the last 20 years. I could have died, Matt, and I did not die. There was the time the bear chased me. Did I ever tell you about the time the bear chased me,
Oh, the
Matt?
time the bear chased you. Yeah, man.
No, I'm serious. I was out hiking, and I got between a mother and its cubs. Yeah, I'm dead serious here. Well, I'm not dead serious because I did not die, but yeah, I was absentmindedly hiking through the forest, and I got between a mother and its two cubs. And the mother bear charged at me. So I had to roll down a very steep, bristly hill to evade it. And I got all cut up. But the bear did not maul me. And I lived on to this work on DK Vine.
Yeah.
There was a time I got a bacterial infection in my arm a week before we filmed the finale to Elvis and Slick Monty. And almost lost my arm, could have killed me, but luckily I got on antibiotics and I got on codeine, which I see why there's an opioid epidemic in America, because that shit was great. I was very happy with that almost death experience. That was a good almost death experience.
What other times have you nearly died?
Well, there was a time this past E3 when the guy in the Viking helmet was singing opera while riding a bicycle and circling me. Mitchell, Jeff, and Cameron would have also died there. But luckily, he did not kill us. He did not cannibalize us and wear our flesh as a lovely suit. Probably because it would be very uncomfortable in the hot LA summer.
Yeah.
So
I think these DK Vine assassins are saving themselves for a time when they can take us all out at once.
yeah, the Kongversation at Donkey Kong in Universal Studios Orlando will be quite a sad occasion. But at the very least, we'll all get to move on together.
Absolute carnage.
It'll be like the end of Lost. We'll all get to move on together. Spoilers. So anyway, I'm not looking for congratulations on not dying, Matt. I don't want you to congratulate me for not dying. Maybe a little bit.
All right. Well done for not dying, mate.
Thank you.
I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you.
We had a self-congratulatory masturbatory session on our 15th anniversary special. What I want to do on this episode is to celebrate the community that has sprung up around and adjacent to DK Vine. And this is a fan community that's weathered quite a bit, and by all accounts, should have died itself, like the time a bear chased it. But it didn't, Matt. It did not die. Every time it took a blow, it got up and said, "Oh, is that all you have? Life?" And then the fan community punched the world right in its teeth, and now the world is missing a tooth.
Yeah. So well done, fan community, for not dying. You are like the Skellingtons from Jason and the Argonauts.
Or the Skellies from off of Sea of Thieves, if we're going to keep it
relevant
within
reference.
The family.
Yeah.
Reference, yeah. We've come pretty far in the last 5 years since our 15th anniversary special. So I thought it was worth, taking a breath and looking back. And we're also going to be hearing from some figures from the fan community on this episode, as they rudely interrupt our discussion to interject their own thoughts. So I'm looking forward to all of that. But first, I got to plug our Patreon, Matt. I have to do it.
Plug it up, baby.
DKVine.com/Patreon. If you want the site to last another 20 years, please.
But only if you want that to happen. If you don't want that to happen, don't do it.
If you want the bear to get us, then by all means sit back and don't.
If you want the bear to get us, DKVine.com/not-Patreon. If you don't want the bear to get us, DKVine.com/Patreon.
I'm going to have to link to that now, Matt. You realize the rules, right? DKVine.com/not-Patreon. Yeah. I'm going to have to show a bear attack there now.
That'll be an MS Paint drawing of a bear eating Hyle.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm fine with that. I just had to register the URL deadhamsterman.com thanks to Daily and Platonic. And look it up, deadhamsterman.com. I own it now. Thank you. And thank you to the patrons for helping me buy that. DKVine.com.
Most of the Patreon money goes to stupid domain name registrations that we've had to make for in-jokes that only Hyle remembers.
Yeah, DKVine.com/not-Patreon won't cost me anything, so thank you, Matt.
Sorry.
I had to shell $12 for deadhamsterman.com. But you would think that URL would be worth a whole lot more, and maybe it will now. Maybe I'll up the value, but deadhamsterman.com, check it out. DKVine.com/Patreon, not DKVine.com/not-Patreon, DKVine.com/Patreon. Any contributions you can make on a monthly basis helps keep the site afloat, helps us grow, helps us expand like Donkey Kong's penis, as the kids love to remind me. It's good for us, and it's good for you, because we give you free shit like stickers, and who doesn't love a good stick?
Oh, it's depressing, this, isn't it?
What's so depressing about that? I'm in a good mood, Matt.
Okay.
We're talking about stickers and bear attacks. This is exactly what I wanted on our 20th anniversary.
So upbeat. Well, this is on the due diligence.
We'll save the rest of the due diligence for later. I don't want to overwhelm people with the due diligence. So I beg for money, I move on, and then I beg for other stuff later on. You got to spread out the begging. This is the mistake people make.
Oh, this is your new strategy. Spread out the due diligence.
Spread out the due diligence. I beg a little here. I beg a little there. It's due, pause, ew, pause, duh, pause, ill, pause, gents. And then it's not so long and annoying then. Happy anniversary, community. So we're going to just launch with our first community message. And I have not listened to any of these. So, well, that's not true. I did listen to one, but I've not listened to most of these. And I will play through them and hear them for the first time as you'll hear them for the first time. So here we go. Here we go. Community message number 1.
Hello DK Vine, it's me, your living meme, Andy Robinson. I want to wish you a very happy 20th birthday. As somebody who's been around websites and publications my entire adult life, I know what an incredible achievement it is to reach such a milestone. I have many happy memories of seeing your comments and reactions during the development of Yooka-Laylee. As the absolute most core fans in existence, it was always important for me to know what you thought and your feedback definitely steered the dialogue in both Ukulele and the upcoming sequel, Possible Lair. Have a great one. Cheers.
Andy Robinson.
Oh,
I'm drinking,
I've not got anything.
I'm drinking right now. Hold on. Oh.
Cheers, Andy. You are a meme.
Yes, thank you. You are a meme. We turned your name into a synonym with alcohol for some reason. And thank you for everything you've done for the community as well. All right.
What a nice message. What a lovely message.
What a lovely message. I think they're all going to get a lot meaner from here on out.
You reckon?
Because I didn't listen to these, and I asked some people, I was like, hey, would you mind recording something? Would you mind sending something our way? And I'm sure
this episode's just going to be abuse.
Yeah, a lot of people are going to use this opportunity to say, hey, finally, I can tell Hyle to fuck himself.
Yeah. Well, being that as it may, I don't want to do that. I'm happy to be here.
I'm happy to have you here, Matt.
Thank you. Even so, I do appreciate you having me on the show, and it's just a shame that it ended up being me.
I don't view it like that. I think it's a shame that it ended up being me, and that for some reason I've tainted every single episode of this infernal podcast.
No comment.
Yeah, no comment. That's fine. No, you see it in the YouTube comments. They're like, "Ooh, it's a Matt episode. Ooh, Jeff is here. Ooh, I love the geek critique."
And very few of the YouTube comments go, "Oh, I hope Hyle's in this one."
Nobody ever admires stamina. You know, they always care about the big flashy orgasm at the end. But I'm like, well, hold on. It took me 4 hours to get to that orgasm. Aren't you going to applaud me there? But no.
It's true, isn't it? You don't get enough applause at the end of an orgasm. Sorry, I wasn't paying attention to the rest of what you said.
Oh, no. I was saying I don't get enough applause in the build up to an orgasm. Like I like hour one, I would just like somebody to say, "Well done" on that first hour. That was enjoyable. Let's see what else you got.
A masturbatory commentary would be ideal, I think. Yeah, someone like some kind of like you know how you can get a personal trainer.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yes, like a motivational speaker and personal trainer rolled into one, sat next to you whilst you're working yourself up. What's this got to do with the anniversary of DK Vine? Sorry, I've lost track.
I just like revealing what turns me on.
Okay.
And just so the audience knows, what turns me on is is admiring the performance rather than the big finish.
Yes.
So anyway. So what I want to do with this episode is kind of look back in the very select snippets of time that DK Vine has existed and see how much the fan community has evolved over the last 2 decades. And obviously DK Vine launched late summer 1999, and that was all in service to the upcoming Donkey Kong 64. Because Donkey Kong 64 was the game. And we're going to be talking about Donkey Kong 64 more later this season. So I'm not going to go into the ins and outs and disappointments and constantly swaying judgments on DK64. We'll get into that in November. But, you know, DK64 was a game that we were looking forward to. At the time, that was the game I was looking forward to the most in my entire lifespan. You know, it was after Donkey Kong Country 2 that I was like, okay, they're going to make an N64 version of this. And then it was like a 4-year wait for it. And 4 years when you're that young is an eternity. Now it's nothing. 4 years ago, it was 2015.
4 years ago, we were still doing this.
Yeah. 4 years ago, it was the Kongversation Season 3. 4 years ago is nothing now. But when you're a kid, 4 years is 3 lifetimes rolled into one. So the hype for the game was immeasurable. And we launched the site then, and we didn't really have a forum at the time. We kind of dragged our feet on getting a forum. We didn't get that until well into the first year. But the community, we were still seeing it through scribes and the letters we got on DK Vine.
Yeah, DK Vine used to have a letters section.
Yeah, that's how self-absorbed we were. Now we just take calls.
It's completely different. It's not the same at all.
Yeah, not the same at all. But back then we were like, yeah, send us letters. Because basically we just saw what Lee Loveday did. And we were like, well, we're going to do it too. Yeah. And we somehow, in our young, non-matured minds, we thought that was perfectly valid and that we had plenty to say.
Hey, I remember I sent letters to you back then.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cute. And now you're sitting here with me and you're like, why did I ever send those letters? So DK64, it was like basically the Phantom Menace for Donkey Kong. You know, opinions were mixed and opinions have gone back and forth over the years, but went into it with a lot of hype, some disappointment, but we tried to kind of bluff our way through that disappointment initially. And I think actually my opinion on it is greater now than it was a few years ago. I swing back and forth on it. I like the game. It's just one of those things where I'm never going to be entirely sure. I'm always going to be given a little side eye, like, what are you up to, DK64? I don't entirely trust you. You going to put that knife in my back now? You going to stick a barrel in me? Fucking game. Looking back on that, though, that was the marriage, the honeymoon period of Rare and Nintendo. I guess the honeymoon was over by then, but we didn't really know it. But Rare and Nintendo were still together, and as far as we knew, that was going to be the way things were going to be for eternity. And we always considered the possibility that maybe Rare would split off and make games for other systems, but it was always just a hypothetical. You know, like what if K. Rool's in Smash Brothers, or you know, what if Banjo-Kazooie are in Smash Brothers? Stuff you don't actually think is ever going to happen.
It's a weird one, that. It's a bit like what you were saying before about how 4 years is nothing now, but it's a big deal when you're a kid. Well,
yeah.
When we were back in 1999, Rare and Nintendo, that partnership had only been 5 years 5 years in.
Right.
Officially, since Donkey Kong Country, that's when it was started, wasn't it?
Yeah, but it was such a huge span of time. It spanned from...
Yeah, so when we were... Back then, to us, that was forever ago. That's just what's always been. Oh, how fascinating this conversation has got.
I was elementary age, and then I was in high school when DK64 came out. So, showing my age there, but... It's weird looking back and thinking how naive we were and how we thought this was always going to be the way it was going to be. And our site was built on this notion of a shared universe of games centered around Donkey Kong. And Banjo-Kazooie is a spin-off of Donkey Kong. Conquer, spin-off of Donkey Kong. Select Star Fox games, spin-off of Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
And this continued. I mean, 1999... gave way to 2000, DK64 gave way to Banjo-Tooie hype, Banjo-Tooie hype gave way to Conker's Bad Fur Day hype, Conker's Bad Fur Day hype gave way to Star Fox Adventures hype. Then there's a bunch of little cameo games mixed in there, of course. But, you know, we went from the N64 to the GameCube, the Game Boy Color to the Game Boy Advance. And then, you know, we got hit with that quadruple whammy of Donkey Kong Racing, Diddy Kong Pilot, Donkey Kong Coconut Crackers, Banjo-Kazooie Grunny's Revenge. We were getting spin-off games. We were getting weird little side games. It really felt like the Donkey Kong universe in 2001, going into 2002, was really building up to what I always envisioned it could be as a wee little kid who first played Donkey Kong Country. And, you know, we were getting puzzle games. We were getting multiple racing games. The spin-off characters were getting handheld games. And
I seem to remember DK Vine slagging off Donkey Kong Coconut Crackers even at the time. But,
yeah, well, that was more Chad.
But rightly so.
I was really looking forward to it because I was like, yes, this is just delightfully stupid, but I will love the hell out of this.
Yeah.
And obviously, then things took a turn. Microsoft purchased Rare, of course. It feels like the buyout, and that coincided with me starting college. And actually, I wasn't even working on DK Vine at the time. Chad and I were doing our webcomic. We had already I guess we had seen the writing on the wall a little bit, and we kind of moved on. DK Vine still existed, but it was in the hands of some other people at the time. The thing that happened there was that I think the community had to grow up. It was a cold splash of water. I was just starting college, and it really did feel like the end of innocence. This part of your childhood is now being smothered with a pillow, and you have to watch it die. The last breaths of life leaving its body. And of course, I came back to DK Vine then because I felt like I had to rally the community in this dark, trying time and enforce some positivity, because nobody really knew what was going to happen with Donkey Kong. We thought Banjo and Conker were going to be okay. There was that initial Xbox buys Rare trailer that had all of the then Microsoft-owned Rare properties like Banjo, Conker, Joanna Dark, Cameo. Yeah, it was just, we didn't know what was going to happen, and that uncertainty I liken to growing pains, you know?
All of the phases of DK Vine's development over the years is going to be analogous to a stage of growth in life. It's a clever, allegory.
It really is, and it really did coincide with my maturation into an adult man.
Adultman.
Adultman, yeah. I'm Hyle Adultman. Nice to meet you. Which sounds like the name that like a stack of children wearing a trench coat would come up with. You know?
Yeah.
Which is really all I am at heart. I'm just four toddlers on each other's shoulders, wearing a coat entirely too big. Yeah. Conker's Bad Fur Day came out when I was just turning like 17. So like I have, I guess, maybe psychically affected the way the Donkey Kong universe has grown. And then I started college, and it's like, oh yeah, now Rare is owned by this other startup, these new kids, this Xbox, and nobody knows what's going to happen.
Hey everyone, this is Alistair Craig, and good golly, has it been a while. Even though it really doesn't seem that long ago I was recording a message like this for DK Vine's 11th anniversary. We've all had so many ups and so many downs since then. Personally, I feel like I have been at least 2-3 completely different people in that time. I'm sure you have too. For my part, one of those people was an enthusiastic showrunner, an over-enthusiastic showrunner, you may say, for the Vine Donkey Kong audio program. And that was honestly the fulfillment of a childhood dream, to work creatively with those I looked up to as a teenager. The person I am right now looks on respectfully from a bit of a distance at this growing empire, purely because he's pretty busy these days with his other hobbies. And honestly, I have not touched a video game in years. With that said, under those circumstances, I would like to share a few things that have happened in the past, say, 2 weeks. That's a perfectly ordinary little slice of everyday life. In that time of not being an active part of the DK Vine community, I have binge listened to Matt Cornah's excellent podcast. There's a man I would never have met, let alone befriended, let alone developed a secret man crush on, if not for DK Vine. I watched an episode of Mystery Science Theater 3000. There's a show forever associated with the cultured Americans who ran a Donkey Kong website, who first taught me it existed with their oblique front page references. I've had serious grown-up heart-to-heart conversations with at least 3 people, maybe more, who have, at one point or another, been on DK Vine's staff. That is just nuts. Just literally yesterday, Facebook showed me a 7-year-old memory of the time we spent in Texas together. Absolutely hysterical with laughter over just a throwaway little line from Finding Bigfoot. I took a very rare bubble bath, which was an action that used to make me think of that X-Files episode Hollywood AD, guest starring Gary Shandling and Taya Leone. Now, it makes me think of the time I sat in that same bath for several hours, listening to Hyle's bachelor party live streamed on the Conversation, in which the participants discussed the X-Files episode Hollywood AD, guest starring Gary Shandling and Taya Leone. The simple fact is, you have shaped lives, and you are shaping lives right now. Every person I've been since 2001, and every person I will be from here on in, has DK Vine DNA in him that bubbles to the surface each and every day, consciously or subconsciously. as it does anyone who has been a serious part of this community in the past 2 decades. No matter where they are now or who they are today, please don't doubt for a second that it matters. To Hyle, to the startlingly long-lasting current lineup of staff, and to all those who have previously carried that DK Vine DNA on a divergent path, thank you for everything. I'm proud of you, I wish you every success, and I love you all.
Hello! I'm generally known around these parts as I Am Gibbon. I've been a part of this community for a long time now. I want to say I first became aware of the site in the early 2000s, but didn't get around to making an account until 2007 or so. And then I didn't really become an active poster until a few years later, when Returns came out. Well, to put it politely, I was a bit of an oddball when I first started posting. Not that I'm not now, but, like, I was that one guy who wouldn't shut up about the arcade Donkey Kong stuff, even though the site was clearly aimed at more Donkey Kong Country things. For instance, I was the sole voice of love on the site for Mario vs. Donkey Kong, and I was such a vocal minority about it that Chad and Hyle used to have to add little footnotes of, "and shut up, Gibbon," whenever they'd make remarks about the series on the Kongversation. Despite all that, they never once told me to go away. I was always encouraged to continue being that guy. DK Vine welcomed with open arms the idea of an arcade Donkey Kong nut amongst their ranks. And when the topic of fan sites came up and I got around to making my own about the lore and characters and stuff of the arcade family of games and their modern offshoots in the same vein as DK Vine, they thought that was the coolest shit, and they were just excited about it for me. And to the point where when they were doing the interviews for the Playing with Superpower book that came out with the SNES Classic, they even name-dropped the site, DK Girder, and just gave me a shout-out. And yeah, like, I've made a lot of friends here. DK Vine's helped me through some hard times in my life, and I hope I've managed to help other community members in turn, just paying it forward. DK Vine is such a big part of my life and has been for such a long time that I can't really imagine it not being around. So yeah, cheers to 20 years. And cheers to 20 more. Huzzah. Etc. I don't know how to end these things.
We love DK Girder, and we always loved dissenting opinions, even when we were very steadfast in our.
I don't think I can get behind that. I hate dissenting opinions.
Okay. We always encourage dissenting opinions, even if we would ridicule them. I mean, we never banned anyone for saying, "Hey, fuck you."
Well, in the early days of DK Vine, you banned people for spelling things wrong.
All right. Well, okay. So, yes, fair point.
Good times. Don't worry, not now.
But we got better. We got better at that. That was mostly youthful indiscretions, Matt. Some people smoke behind the school. Some people rob a liquor store.
They do that.
We ban people for incorrectly using semicolons. It was fine. It's how we lashed out at the world. It's how we were being little morose teenagers, angsty youth. Speaking of angst, the buyout era. This was a time of uncertainty. It was a time that I distinctly remember. It felt like the community we were all at each other's throat because we were all afraid of what would happen to the things we loved from our earlier days. Like it was very much, even though we were all different ages and a lot of us in the community were kids at the time, it was kind of like, as you mentioned, being afraid of growing up and being afraid of losing the things that you loved as a child.
It's a weird time to talk about now, isn't it? The buyout era, because now it's so long ago that people don't even know what you're talking about.
And it's weird how nostalgic I get for it a little bit. I think back and I'm like, oh,
do you remember when we were all miserable? Oh, good times.
No. But like you look at the games that actually came out during that time.
I know, yeah.
And you're like, oh man, that was a great game. That was a good era. I love the GameCube. It's just so contrary to what we were spewing at the time.
Well, we had this idea about how things were going to go, and that idea contained things like Donkey Kong GameCube by Rare, the long-awaited sequel to Donkey Kong 64 in 3D.
Yeah,
probably not in 3D.
Yeah, it was basically, we walked into the era of the GameCube, which became the era of the GameCube and the Xbox for us.
I do lay a little bit of blame for this, by the way, on that E3 that you often talk about, 2001. With all that stuff, that was the kind of the promise that was never fulfilled, and we were sort of left hanging from that. So nothing would have ever lived up to what we were promised. For those of you that don't know, there were a lot of Donkey Kong games.
Yeah, we walked into the GameCube era thinking it was not only going to be a continuation of what happened on the Nintendo 64, but actually build on it, and we'd have so much more. Like, I remember we were fiercely debating which Diddy Kong racing character would get their own spin-off next. And we were like, no, it's got to be Tip Top, right? It's got to be Tip Top. And then when Tricky got into Dinosaur Planet, and Dinosaur Planet was like a prequel, we were like, well, I mean, they got to do one for Bluey, obviously. they have it in the works. They're just not telling us. It's just a matter of time before we get that Bluey origin story that the world is waiting. It was a lot of like childish optimism that I still hold on to, but I do it mostly in jest now. But hey, optimism is not a bad thing. I much prefer it to cynicism, because ultimately optimism will get you places, cynicism will not. And optimism is what got us where we are today from 5 years ago. So always be optimistic, no matter how ludicrous it sounds. Keep reaching for that rainbow, people. But yeah, it really was dashed expectations. The cold, hard reality of not getting what you thought you were going to get. Life not turning out the way you thought it was going to turn out. And yeah, it really is a parable for growing up, the buyout era. And we weren't enjoying what we were getting at the time, which was some pretty good stuff. And it wasn't even like the characters were gone. Like on the Donkey Kong side of things, yeah, Jungle Beat didn't have any returning characters, sans Donkey Kong and the banana. But, you know, we were still getting the pay-on games that were just filled with stuff from the rarest games. Like Donkey Kong 64 bats came back, and we found out they're called flip-flaps. Like that's the kind of stuff we were getting. Purple Parrot, Quawks. Oh yeah, thank you, Pay-on. And we're getting Kremlings appearing in like Mario football games. We were getting just all sorts of stuff. Tiny Kong continued to age. Like we were getting like actual hard and strict continuity in the Donkey Kong line, while we were still getting stuff from Conker and Banjo, and we'll talk about nuts and bolts, but it wasn't a bad era in retrospect. It was just filled with so much, not only disappointment for what we didn't get, but fear for where things were going to go. And I think things like Jungle Beat, and specifically the mistranslation of that Jungle Beat interview that we went on about earlier this season, that really put us in a negative headspace, to the point where Super Smash Bros. Brawl was coming out, and we were like, there's no way Diddy's gonna be in it. They're not even gonna have Donkey Kong in it. And I drove a lot of this negativity. I will cop to it. You know, not something I'm proud of.
Well, it was an interesting time back then. I wasn't on DK Vine back then because that was similar to you and Chad. I had some years out from all this bollocks.
Yeah.
But looking back on all of it, there was some really creative and interesting stuff going on the forum and with the community. Not least because of your friend Jeremy Thorne doing his...
Jeremy Thorne, yeah.
Which I believe generated quite a lot of interest.
It did, yeah. So there were a couple things that really rallied the community during this time.
And of course, your other friend, our friend, did a series.
Our friend came back during that time too and went through this very existential drama.
Yeah.
Well, a bunch of nonsense.
I hope that guy's all right these days. It's a shame he couldn't leave a message for this.
Yeah.
Did you reach out to him?
Well, the original Our Friend became Barack Obama, who became U.S. president. So good for him. Good for him. I see why they always wanted his birth certificate, because if they knew he was actually a digital camera from the late 90s, they would have thrown a fit.
All of those years of presidency would have been cancelled.
Yep. But there's another Our Friend now from an alternate universe.
Yep.
And I believe he's in Oculus Rift floating above Los Angeles now. But he had a son who is currently in my office right here now. Our Friend 2 Jr. So the lineage continues.
It's a good anniversary episode, this.
There were a couple things that rallied the community, even in this time of uncertainty, in this time of strife and bickering and fear that Nintendo was going to cancel Donkey Kong out of spite. But the first thing that really brought us together was Conquer Live and Reloaded, which is so weird because it seems like such a blip now. Like, nobody really remembers Live and Reloaded except the hardcore fans. Because, you remember Bad Fur Day. But Live and Reloaded, especially when you could actually play it online on the Xbox, was really the first time everybody played games together. The community came together and said, oh, we can play games online together. We don't just have to talk about games. We can play together. And I never even really participated in this, but I watched it from afar, and I watched the community every night play Live and Reloaded. And, there are a lot of hopes pinned on Live and Reloaded, oh, this game is going to sell millions and millions of copies, and then Conquer is going to become the Xbox mascot, much like Crash Bandicoot is the PlayStation mascot, Mario is the Nintendo mascot. It's going to be Conquer on the Xbox, and of course, Crash Bandicoot is in no way the PlayStation mascot, but that's just the way it was thought of at the time. But no, Conquer did not become any mascot for anyone.
Well, it was a bit of a weird sell, wasn't it, for anyone outside of the kind of weirdos weirdo circles among which we move.
It was at a time when the Xbox market was very insular, very marketed towards a particular demographic, and they did not know how to market rare games. Even something like Conquer, which is filled with the type of bro-y humor that you would think the crowd would appeal to, it was still a bit too far afield for them to really get into. And
I love guns, but I don't like cartoon squirrels, so I don't want to get this game.
That's a direct quote from an Xbox player there.
I think that was actually the Game Informer review of Conquer Live and Reloaded, if I recall. Verbatim. I can't believe you remembered that.
And he wrote it in that voice. I don't know how he managed it.
Yeah. It specified what silly accent he did it in. What would you describe that silly accent, Matt? What would you describe it as?
I would describe it as a bit like how, when Matt Cornah does a voice like that.
Yeah, let me check this issue. I have it. I always keep it at the ready, just in case this comes up.
I know you do.
Let me thumb through it there.
I wouldn't have brought it up if I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, it says literally.
Please read
exactly what you said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Happy 20th birthday, DK Vine! I'm really happy to have discovered this site when it sprang up and eventually be brave enough to speak in the forums. I think I was there in 1999, or it could have been 2000, I don't remember. I know I stalked the site at a point before submitting artwork and going into the forums. Yeah, I'm still ashamed of all that artwork, but I learned a lot, and I'm happy to still be drawing DKU stuff. We had a lot of crazy adventures, and a lot of times we were happy, a lot of times we were angry at each other. We were like this really cold, dysfunctional family because there's a lot of names that I still recall from the days where I hung out in the forums, and we're friends. Like, I made a lot of friends, and just the information that the site collected, like all the canons and headcanons that we just pieced together from everything that's happened over the years, it's just really amazing. I think part of why I'm such a headcanon enthusiast really springs from this site. Like, I feel like DK Vine is where I've grown up as a person, where I've grown up as a fan, and let's see, I could just go on forever about how the communities helped me grow as a person and forged many of my best friendships and motivated me for my artwork. But, I'll try to keep this as short as possible. I want to say thanks to Chad and Hyle for making this community possible. I know we're all, like, in different directions now, but, I still love you guys. We're still family, even if we're not in the forums anymore. I love you guys. And all the mods, the writers, the forum members, I love you guys too. Also, thanks to Cameron, because this year we got to run a table this year at MagFest. We were 2 DK Viners. We were selling art of series. He had the Diddy Kong Racing. I had the Plague of Shadows. I think I had an old Banjo print. But we covered stuff from Mario, DKU. He even had a Godzilla, and this was stuff that nobody really sold anywhere at the con. So we were kind of like the cool niche place or something like that, where you could get like really obscure fandoms. And I feel like Donkey Kong Country fandom is still pretty obscure. Like, I've been into more things that, like, you post something and you get like 50 comments on it because it's such a huge fandom. And Banjo became big because Smash and stuff. But just being a part of a niche fandom, then finding people that actually like it, it's really cool. But Cameron and I ran a really cool table together. We were really good partners, 2 DK Viners just running MagFest. We sadly missed this coming MagFest was DK's themed, and the cutoff was too short for us to make it. I think the Conquest tried to apply to. So, let's not get too sad about that. We're gonna do more shows together. So thank you so much, and happy 20th, and everyone I got to know there, just stay positive as much as you can, and we're family forever. Thank you.
G'day mates, it's Quizbud from off of DKC Atlas. First up, I want to say a big congratulations to DK Vine for 20 years of high quality entertainment and professional journalism. Just kidding. I love you guys. I've really enjoyed listening to the Kongversation over the years, and I'm ecstatic that I'm finally getting to pollute it with my own inane gibberish. So thanks for this opportunity. The passion of creative members of the community has been amazing. Everything from artwork to music to entire fan games. I hear there are even some fools out there who have spent years of their lives creating level maps instead of, progressing in careers or whatever it is adults do. And to be honest, it did seem for a while there that if we wanted anything new and exciting in the world of Donkey Kong Country, we'd have to make it ourselves. But of course, recently we've been spoilt by great games by Retro Studios, a theme park with Donkey Kong Country flair, and a revelation of King K. Rool appearing in Smash Brothers, something we've been hoping for many years. it really does seem like the future of Donkey Kong Country is bright. So it's a very exciting time to be part of this great fandom.
Conquer Live and Reloaded kind of like kept the community together for a time, but I think once that game sort of failed, it didn't really light the sales charts on fire the way anybody hoped. Then we kind of moved on to Super Smash Bros. Brawl, and that was really the first time Smash Bros. Had this big hype cycle around it. Melee had it a little bit, but Brawl was really when everybody went all in on the mania, because Melee was such a revolutionary game in so many ways. And so the expectations were set for Brawl, and particularly, what characters do you want to get into this game? And, well, obviously, we alluded to it. There was a big feature on the site bitching about Brawl, and they didn't show Donkey Kong for like a year or something.
That's right, yeah.
So, combined with our pre-existing Jungle Beat mistranslation angst, we really thought, oh, Nintendo hates Donkey Kong so much, they're not going to put him in Smash Brothers. Oh, the world's against us. Oh, and we're never going to get Diddy. But we did. We got Diddy. That was a
Spoiler
great
alert.
day. Diddy was in Brawl. And that kind of, I would say that was the beginning of the end of the buyout era angst. Even if we didn't know it at the time, that was like the first indication that, hey, Diddy Kong is not going to go anywhere. He wasn't in Jungle Beat, get over it. But Diddy Kong's not going to go anywhere. And yeah, that really cemented Diddy Kong as a mainstay. Even though he had appeared in like Mario Kart before then, and he appeared in various Mario sporting shenanigans.
Shenanigans, yeah.
A portmanteau of shenanigans and chicanery. I coined it. It can be used now. You're welcome, world. I'm taking a bow. But yeah, we didn't really view it at that time. What we did view it as is like, okay, Diddy is a made man now. The Kingmaker has spoken. Diddy is a made man, but the world is still against us. And we couldn't enjoy the victories we got for very long. And that then immediately became, okay, Diddy's in it. You think K. Rool's going to get in it? I'm going to set myself on fire if K. Rool does not get in Smash Brothers Brawl. Which, it's amazing that the fire didn't kill me. Because, when I set myself on fire, you think that should have been it for me. But luckily, I smothered the fire when I rolled down that hill to get away from the bear.
Well,
I didn't mean to stop, drop, and roll, but there I was on fire. A bear was charging at me, and I thought, well, I want to set myself on fire. I do not want to get eaten by a bear. And besides, that would hurt the bear's mouth, the fire. So I rolled down the hill.
Yep.
And then I was like, oh, the fire's out. That was my last match, though. I guess I'm not going to set myself on fire.
This is all true, by the way. All of this is true.
Yes, every bit that I just spoke was true. Every word, every action, every thought. It happened. So, after Brawl, after the hype cycle, Brawl pretty much gave way to Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts, which was the third major unifying time period in the buyout era, and it was the end of the buyout era. Or, at the very least, it felt like the end of everything. So, Nuts and Bolts is a great game. Nuts and Bolts is a great game. It's a fantastic game, and you're doing yourself a disservice if you don't play it. I'm saying that up front, and I'm ashamed that we could not appreciate it at the time, just like I'm ashamed we could not appreciate Jungle Beat at the time.
It's the same thing again of like what you were saying earlier about the initial period of the buyout era being like a time of great misery in the DK Vine community. Basically, nothing's ever good enough. And Nuts and Bolts epitomizes that, I suppose.
It was self-inflicted misery. That's all it really was. Nuts and Bolts, we had been waiting for 6 years or so for a Banjo-Kazooie game on the Xbox, which now, 6 years seems like nothing. Well, that was the conversation.
See, also, earlier in this conversation. Do you know how time seems like longer when you're younger?
Yeah, that was the first season of the conversation. 6 years ago, they had just announced Tropical Freeze for the Wii U. So, God. Again, It's a drop in the bucket. It's a blue egg in the leaky, Matt. And it's silly now, but it seemed like an eternity. Less so than to wait for Donkey Kong 64, even though it was longer. But again, I was older then, and the disappointment of Nuts and Bolts after that Banjo is Back teaser that showed the gorgeously rendered.
The only reason DK Vine's survived as long as it has is because nobody that works on DK Vine understands how time works.
I have a very good sense of time in that I can tell you what time zone it is. Matt, it is 8:51 p.m. for you.
Oh my god. That is amazing. And the listeners at home, right? Nigel.
Yeah.
It's 4:72 where you are.
4:72.
Yeah.
In Nigel time, it is. Yeah. Yes, that is very impressive.
That is a time.
Somebody just jumped up out of their seat and their monocle fell into their drink. And
it is 4:72.
Yeah, they smacked themselves on the head. Amazing magic trick you just pulled off there, Matt. Nuts and Bolts, though, that Banjo is Back trailer that didn't hint towards any of what Nuts and Bolts was. We thought it was a 3D platformer in the traditional style, and it showed that Spiral Mountain on the Xbox 360, and it was kind of like Donkey Kong Racing or E3 2001. It set us up for ultimately a disappointing reality, and it was poor marketing on Rare's
but only
part,
disappointing because
part.
It was different to what we were expecting, and once the DK Vine community gets an idea in its head about what it's going to get, and something different emerges, there's no forgiveness.
Well, that's the way we used to operate, for sure. 10 years ago, that's the way we used to operate.
DK Vine community circa 2009 or whatever it was.
Yeah, we really worked that out of our system in our second decade. Yeah, Nuts and Bolts, like I said, great game, but it was just met with utter disdain, even from the staff, and it took us a couple years to really come around on Nuts and Bolts. And really to get that, hey, this is the game that Rare actually wanted to make. There's all these conspiracy theories about, well, Microsoft didn't want them to do Banjo 3, so it made them make this game. Really? No. They didn't have anything to say about a third Banjo-Kazooie game, so they made this as a compromise. And, maybe they shouldn't have even done it in the first place. Maybe they shouldn't have made it a Banjo game in the first place. I'm glad they did, but it's a debate for another time, perhaps.
For the record, I really like it.
And so do I, yeah.
And I say for the record because this is being recorded. So it is recorded.
It is, yeah. I'm glad you explained, because I was like, on the record, should I be taking notes on what he says? Should Game Informer be sinographing him? Like, what does he mean?
I hope so.
On the record. Oh, this is a podcast. I get it.
I hope there's someone that transcribes all of these episodes.
There used to be on Tumblr somebody who would just write these things out. I remember
Really?
stumbling across it, and I would see my name and all this spewing of words that would come out of my mouth, including all the ums and likes and basically filler nonsense when I can't think of what I actually want to articulate. And I was just... My monocle fell off my face into my beverage, and I smacked
pauses
myself
for 10 minutes whilst he tries to think of another thing to say about a brother's bear.
But yeah, Nuts and Bolts, I think, was not only the end of the buyout era, it was almost the end of the community. And 2009 really bore that out. 2009 was almost the end of everything. And I'm amazed that we're still here 10 years later.
Why do you think that?
2009, the only notable thing to really come out was Punch-Out for the Wii, which had Donkey Kong as a boss character.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, I'm curious about this. So you think that 2009 there was a genuine possibility that it would have just sort of drifted into nothing?
Yes.
Ended with a whimper?
Because the site had... I forget how much time left until the server needed to be renewed.
Yeah.
And I think we were all in agreement that, no, we're not going to renew it. Like, the site was almost going to die, like, well into 2010. And that's a very scary thought, considering where I am now and how much this place means to me, how much I acknowledge that this place means to me, this community means to me. But yeah, 2009, after Nuts and Bolts, it felt like Rare kind of collapsed. And in a sense, they did. There was this fatalism in Nuts and Bolts. They were even joking about it, this gallows humor that, you know, everything we've done on the Xbox is a failure, and they're not going to let us do anything after this. Like, even like this tactic acknowledgement that, yeah, Nuts and Bolts is probably going to bomb too. And then after that, they did Kinect Sports, and the Kinect Sports for many years. And I'm not slagging Kinect Sports. They are the best games for what they did. The best ever on any platform. We love you, Craig. But, They are. They legitimately are, but they were not the types of games that obviously Rare fans, whatever that meant at the time,
we're such snobs, aren't we? We're just absolute snobs, basically, aren't we?
I'm no longer a snob, but yeah, back then there was definitely this kind of not elitism, but basically we know what we like and you better give it to us.
Yeah.
From Nintendo, from Rare, didn't matter. And 2009 did not give us anything. Donkey Kong was a boss character in Punch-Out, but there's no indication there was any sort of new Donkey Kong game coming out. Barrel Blast for the Wii bombed, and it was quite frankly terrible to play. It was full of a lot of cool ideas, but it should have been for the bongos. Should have been for the GameCube. Should have been Metroid. And
I would have loved it if it was Metroid.
But still with the bongo jets on their ankles, just banging them. Yeah.
With the two Metroid characters, Samus and Zero Suit Samus.
Now there's Dark Samus.
And Dark Samus, of course. And
Ridley's there.
Ridley, of course.
Yeah, those four
Dark
Metroid
Ridley
characters. Dark Samus Ridley, just they're mashed up. She's in his mouth or like in his pouch, like a kangaroo.
Please continue with what you were going to say. I feel I've derailed the conversation.
2009, I was living in Los Angeles, and I felt so removed from DK Vine. I would still stumble upon DK Vine and still like lurk it, but it just felt like there was nothing left. It was a husk. The community felt defeated. Like, yeah, we're not going to get any more Donkey Kong games. Rare is basically finished as a studio we knew. It's over. It is over. And it's funny how fast things can turn around when you're at your lowest point. And we'll get into that, but I want to take two more messages back to back. These are kind of came in as a pair, so I feel like it's appropriate to play them back to back. More community messages. Here we go.
Hello, this is Marky from Rare Thief. Happy 20th birthday, DK Vine. It took a second before I realized that was 1999, which means that at least where I live, household internet was just becoming a bit more common. Of course, household internet meant slowly allowing individual people who might never have otherwise had any opportunity to meet to form tight-knit, yet global, communities based on a shared passion. It didn't matter if you knew the right people, it didn't matter if you could afford to fly somewhere, it didn't matter if you were 11 years old. Suddenly you could be nobody of note and still join in. Though anonymity certainly has its pitfalls, I have fond memories of this anonymity in one respect. Because no one knew your gender, sexuality, race, nationality, creed, abilities, or age, I found that people, particularly on forums, would treat others with respect commensurate with their contributions. It was against this backdrop that this globally connected Rare community really came into being, and I think that this has had some felicitous effects. People were coming together not only because of a shared love for Rare games, but also with a passion for contributing. Moreover, many were children, with the result that over the course of 20 years, this community has actually grown up together. Even better, the people who are drawn to the Rare community are people who allow these games to captivate their childlike imaginations at all ages. So through this community, we've been able to keep those imaginations, the sense of wonder and play as we grew up, only to be rewarded with the best Neverland for which we could have ever hoped, Sea of Thieves. I will forever be grateful to Rare for bringing Sea of Thieves into our world, but I am also grateful to the Rare fanbase. In so many ways, Sea of Thieves is a reflection of this community. I don't believe Rare made a game and hoped it would generate a fanbase. I believe Rare made this game for this fanbase. A fanbase of people who love to find new ways to create and contribute is exactly the type of fanbase you want to gift with an open world experience to let their creativity roam free. A fanbase of people who allow games to captivate their imaginations is the fanbase you want to gift with pirate lore and tall tales. Of course, within this community, I am so grateful for DK Vine. Everything I love about this community has been enhanced by your presence. You provide a proverbial tavern that is welcoming to any new sailors, yet still caters to the old salts who'd like to hear tell of lesser-known tales. On that note, I raise a grog. It marks not only DK Vine's birthday, but also the infancy of a global Rare community that connects us to each other and to the good people at Rare. A community that not only celebrates, but enhances the magic of Rare games. Thank you all. And here's to the many years ahead. Cheers.
Hi everyone, Amir here from Rare Thief, and I am here to celebrate with you all DK Vine turning 20. Wow, I can't believe that. Happy anniversary. It's crazy to think that DK Vine has now been covering Rare games longer than one of my favorite Rare games, Perfect Dark, has even been out. I have mad respect for all that DK Vine has done for this incredible community of Rare fans. With DK Vine being one of the longest standing Rare fan sites, you built a community that's been there welcoming several generations of new fans. For a longtime fan like myself, it's been really nice having DK Vine as a guaranteed go-to place to get that much needed dose of Rare and laughter, though I certainly find plenty of merriment laughing and joking with the broader Rare community on a daily basis, as well as a place to share my excitement. There's a whole side of me that the people I work with during my 9 to 5 don't know exists, and it's a relief to just jump online and express that part of me with other Rare fans who get it. I've actually made lifelong friends while sharing my love for Rare online. And about that, I'm so glad that all those years ago I had the courage to stop lurking and start up conversations with the friendly people at Rare and other fans of my favorite games. If you're listening to this right now and you're a lurker, make an account, make your first post, or reach out through Twitter. You'll quickly make friends that you can't imagine not having going forward. To you non-lurkers out there, thank you for putting yourselves out there and making being a Rare fan something special. These games we cherish so much attract some of the most passionate, creative, and lively gamers. Every day is a treat as I inevitably come across something that just blows my mind, something that's just beyond impressive that one of you all has done or created. 20 years sounds like something that should make me feel old, but being part of the community makes me as excited as a kid playing Donkey Kong Country for the first time. Thanks to Rare and this community, I think I can count on that feeling for all the years to come.
Well, what a lovely couple of messages.
Yes, thank you so much to Marky and Amir from Rare Thief.
I love that, what Amir was saying about how the people he works with, it's like a secret side to him that none of them know about.
Is that the way it is for you, Matt?
Yeah, no one knows about my sordid secrets that I do on this website.
Let it out. Let that be known. Like, where the freak within, proudly on the outside.
I've got a Donkey Kong figure on my desk at work.
I mean, that's a start.
Yeah, it's a start. It's a start. And Marky's message was just lovely.
Yes. Thank you so much to both of you, and check out Rare Thief while you're at it. So moving on from that lovely note, let's talk about where the community almost died.
Yeah, too much positivity in this episode. Let's bring it down.
It's like, when you're diabetic, too much sugar. Oops, lost my foot. No, 2010. The first half of 2010, like I said, DK Vine almost died. A lot of the Rare fan sites had died or slipped into a period of inactivity or were on death's door. And then E3 2010, the rumors a couple days beforehand stated that Retro Studios was going to be reviving Donkey Kong. And we didn't know what form or fashion, but we sincerely hoped that it was going to be some sort of version of Donkey Kong that we wanted as, old school Rare fans. And so that was, I stumbled back into the site then after, not really being on it for months. And I got swept up in all the excitement, just hanging out in the forum like all night long, posting with people. Oh, do you think we're going to get, Donkey Kong? What do you think it's going to look like? Oh, well, this is what I'm hoping for. Oh, and just letting ourselves kind of get carried away again. Because the truth is, when I was away, all the little times I was away during the aughts, whether it was like, working on TV show or failing as a professional screenwriter, I missed it. I really did miss it. There was a hole in my soul that I tried to fill with other things, like quick dry cement.
Yeah.
And I couldn't fill it.
No.
Apparently I wasn't a cement fan, but I was pining for this nonsense, for DK Vine, for the community, for Rare Games, for the Donkey Kong universe. And so to have that possibility back, it excited me. It was like, hey, is adult life not treating you right? Because this was also like the lowest point of my depression, 2010. And really? I won't get into it there, but, I very nearly took my life that year. I opened up about that a month or two back on Twitter. And, luckily I got help. I had help. I had a friend who helped me out. But it was a dark time in my life. And to have that little ray of sunshine, it was like, maybe there's something to look forward to. And there was. At E3 2010.
God, it's like It's a Wonderful Life, this.
Yeah, it is, except without the Christmas.
Yeah. Well, I consider Donkey Kong Country Returns to be a kind of Christmas.
Well, yeah. It's mostly farm animals.
Yeah.
And
I've never seen it.
No, I was talking about... You never seen Christmas?
No, what is it? Is it like Cobcock Day, but less exciting?
Christmas?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Much less exciting than Cobcock Day.
Okay.
Yeah. No, the infamous E3 where Reggie came out and said, Retro Studios in Texas have made some great Metroid games. But when they asked to try something... I forget verbatim, of course. We asked them to take one of the most beloved properties and make it magic again. I think it goes something like that. And then, of course, if you listen, you can hear it coming. And then the cover of David Wise music started to play. Yeah. So that was a magical day. And that was a huge day for the community. That was when Chad and I both decided to come back to DK Vine full time as... Not a career yet. Not a career. It wouldn't be a career for me until a couple years ago, like specifically like last year. But it was definitely like a full-time hobby again. A rekindled passion that never really went away. We were just trying to deny that aspect of ourselves because we have like real shit to get to. We don't have time for this Donkey Kong fan site nonsense. And that was false. that was us trying to let society dictate to us what we should be doing as adults. And quite frankly, society can go fuck itself sometimes because I was a lot happier with DK Vine in my life than I ever was without it.
Yes, and this is my reacquaintance with DK Vine as well because I remember.
Yes. So
very clearly.
This is basically when the modern era of DK Vine began. This is when we actually branded the site as DK Vine proper.
That's right, isn't it? Because it used to always be Donkey Kong's Jungle Vine. I forgot about that.
And then we just let it go by Donkey Kong Universe for most of the buyout era. That was kind of like a this tactic acknowledgement that we felt like Donkey Kong was going to get buried without Rare, but that the universe aspects of it, like Banjo and Conquer, they were going to soar in the aughts. And so we've got to like focus on the universe aspect. So let's brand our site as Donkey Kong Universe, even though the URL was still dkvine.com. Years after the fact, I did register DonkeyKongUniverse.com and that will redirect you to DK Vine. But also deadhamsterman.com. Check it out. That's the newest one from last week. Also check out exploitdungeon.com.
Yeah.
Gamebest.computer.
What other ones are there?
Greenporncity.com.
Oh, does that one? Oh,
yeah. File2.com. Sitting on that one still. You know, just basic URLs.
A lot of Patreon money goes on these.
It's sad, but it's true.
This website is unsustainable.
It is. If I keep registering URLs, Platonic, stop egging me on. God damn it. Yeah. So this was the modern era of DK Vine, and part of that modern era of DK Vine was bringing on the new staffers, such as one Matt Cornah, such as Cameron Regal, such as Jeff Onan, Joe Mudd. Yeah, you guys joined the staff then, and you've essentially all never left. You've
essentially never left.
No, I think Jeff took a hiatus there, as did Joe, but like a boomerang, they came right back around, hit me in the face repeatedly. I ran from them like I did that bear, rolled down a hill, put out the fire. So, Matt, how did you feel rejoining DK Vine, the community, during this time, and then ultimately joining the staff, where you're now sitting with me almost 10 years later doing a fucking podcast?
Well, I mean, the first thing I noticed about going back to DK Vine several years after my first encounter with it was the delight I experienced upon discovering that my forum account still existed.
We should have deleted that in retrospect. Should have banned you for that misplaced semicolon.
What else?
Profound words.
It was nice to see my account was still there. Came back.
Yeah.
That's the end of the story, really. Not really anything else to say. Well, I've told you this in confidence, but I'll say now in a public arena that when you asked me to be on the staff, it was one of the happiest days of my life. And when I think it was Chad that asked me.
Yeah, I didn't ask you. No, I had no part in the decision. Chad kept me out of the hiring process.
I jumped around my bedroom like a child in delighted glee. And when
you agreed to do this episode with me, I did the same.
Yeah. Did you? I know you did.
Yeah, I always do. Yeah. But no, yeah, it was a new dawn. It was weird that our site motif at the time was a sunset, because it was actually a sunrise.
It could be a sunrise.
It was a new morning.
Well, I suppose that's what it is, really, because the reason for that, me being so happy about it, is because DK Vine was a big part of my late teens in a weird way. Like, that was what...
I don't think it's weird. I mean, like, we always, like, try to, like, downplay it by saying, it was so fucking weird that we were on this website. What a bunch of losers. We should all be punched in the genitals.
Yeah.
But it really wasn't. It really, like, it was the dawn of internet culture. Now it's a part of everybody's life. So if this was a new thing now, we wouldn't say, oh, that's weird. No, we'd be like, okay, yeah, that's normal. That's what people do.
Yeah, good point. I take it all back.
Yeah, thank you. Put those words back in your mouth and choke on them, Matt.
Please edit them all out of the podcast.
No, too busy.
Edit all my words out. Just mute my channel.
It'll just be me talking to nothing. It'll be like those Garfield strips where they remove Garfield.
Hyle minus Matt.
It somehow makes the whole experience even better. Actually, I'll mute me and it'll just be Matt.
Oh god, it'll just be me going, and what were you doing while you were doing that? Wanking.
See, you'll sound like a madman. People will love it. That era, Donkey Kong Country Returns, people... It's almost like Donkey Kong 64, a lesser Donkey Kong 64.
Oh god, don't tell anyone that that's your critical review of that game. Donkey Kong Country Returns, it's like a lesser Donkey Kong 64.
I mean lesser as far as the size it had on our community. Yeah. Ultimately, I think it meant more to our community, even if we never think of it in those terms. But it was a game that was, for many people, the first Donkey Kong game. Like Donkey Kong 64 is weird. If you're of a certain age, like me, like you're like, well, Donkey Kong 64 was just a continuation. Like, but it was 5 years after Donkey Kong Country, and we've already established the length of time that is when you're a child. So for many children, Donkey Kong Country was like this ancient thing already. Donkey Kong 64 was their introduction, the ground floor for Donkey Kong. It's what they associate as Donkey Kong. Well, flash forward 11 years later, that's what Donkey Kong Country Returns was. It was a Donkey Kong Country for a whole new generation. And it's also critically divisive in the community. What I meant when I said it was lesser than Donkey Kong 64 is it's less critically divisive, I think, than that game. But for a lot of, purists, for the people who, like me, who say Donkey Kong Country 2 is the best Donkey Kong game, Donkey Kong Country Returns was both a return to form and also lacking in many ways. And, you can argue about the mechanics, the waggle controls, whatever, but...
Oh, yeah, definitely. When I first saw the game, I was horrified, honestly. I thought that... No, because I just thought, this looks too much like a game. I want it to look real.
That was actually Game Informer's verbatim review as well. When I first saw the game, I was horrified.
But, I remember, I think, first going back... The first thought I had when seeing that Donkey Kong Country Returns existed was, I wonder what DK Vine thinks of this.
Everybody thought we would hate it. I remember, out of morbid curiosity, because I was just back in the saddle, and I was just like, we were getting ready to rebrand DK Vine, and I was kind of getting curious about what the perception of DK Vine was in the broader internet. So I did some searches. I did some Google foo, and I tried to find out, what do people think we think about Donkey Kong Country Returns? And
please tell me you've got some quotes on the ready.
I don't. That would have required a lot more forethought into this episode. What I remember seeing, though, was all this very assured commentary about us, no doubt hating everything we saw, because we were known as the negative fan community, the full of vile and venom towards anything that wasn't rare. And I mean, that was an image that was well deserved, and we had to rebuild. We had a lot of PR to do to kind of come back from that. But yeah, everybody thought we were going to hate it. While we were near universally ecstatic on the site. Matt, you apparently hated it, but
no, you're taking it the wrong way. I had the stereotypical DK Vine the exact stereotypical DK Vine mindset, i.e., anything that isn't exactly the same as a Donkey Kong Country game that dares to call itself a Donkey Kong Country game is unacceptable. And because it didn't look exactly like a Donkey Kong Country game, I was appalled. My initial reaction was being appalled.
See, I can see that. For me, and I think for a lot of others in the community, it was a lifeline. It was like a life raft thrown to us.
Well, yeah, I should add as well that I hadn't been sort of clinging onto the community for years at that point. I was doing other things. Wanking. I was doing wanking.
No, we were all doing that, man.
All right.
No matter where we were in life. It was a Donkey Kong Country game that had Diddy Kong in it. Essentially, that's all we really needed at the time to be content. It was basically a rebuttal to Jungle Beat, and that's the way we saw it. It really wasn't.
Well, I don't think I appreciated at the time the significance of the mere fact that they decided to call it Donkey Kong Country.
In the West, at least, yeah. I mean, it wasn't...
Did they not call it Super Donkey Kong in Japan?
I don't think so. I think it was just Donkey Kong Returns in Japan.
Okay.
But in the West, it was, and it was made by a Western studio, so it was deliberately intended to be a Donkey Kong Country revival. And, we got Cranky in it, we got Rambi, we got Squawks who sniffed some puzzles, but it was great having Donkey Kong Country back, but it was also incomplete. And I love Donkey Kong Country Returns, and I'll always cherish the memories of it coming out and what it meant for us and how it brought us all back to DK Vine. But there were still pieces of our hearts that were broken, that had yet to be mended. And that was missing characters that we loved, a celebration of continuity and the past. And specifically, what was really missing, I think, was Rare and Rare alum, Rare vets, the people who made the games we loved as kids. As great of a job as Retro did with Returns, and we'll get into Tropical Freeze. They did a great job with Tropical Freeze. But as great as that was, it still felt like I really want the Mails brothers. I really want David Wise. I really want Chris Sutherland. I really want all these people, all these names, all these beloved figures. I really want them to be making a game that I want to play again, that speaks to us as a fan community. And so the Returns era is great, but it was Donkey Kong Country Returns, and then it was a couple of years of nothing, really. It was cameo games. It was Connect Sports. It was Royston getting a cameo in Connect Sports Season 2, and us not realizing it for like a year or two later.
Can I just say, though, they were a fun couple of years.
They were.
In a weird sort of way. Because
we made our own fun. Yeah. Like, that's the thing. We didn't have a whole lot to talk about after Donkey Kong Country Returns came out and after we like all completed it. But the thing is, we didn't really need that because we were just all excited to be back. We were kind of renewed. We were like, the possibility is there again.
Yeah, because that's when you started the podcast, and obviously the Pod DK cast had been going for years before that.
And we started the other podcast,
the other
podcast audio program. Yeah. And then was that your Hyle voice? Let's hear that again.
That was not my Hyle voice. That was my American voice.
I'm an American. I want to hear that again.
Hello. I'm from America.
It's pretty good. That's what we sound like.
That's what it sounds like, man.
You nailed us.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
See, exactly the same as you.
Spot on, man. Just take us back as a colony.
Tell me another voice for me to do.
Do Cameron.
Okay. Hello, it's me, Cameron.
Wow, it's spooky. Yeah. It's like I'm here with him right now. I thought I asked Matt to be on this episode. Now, anyway, so
you derailed it that time, not me.
Okay,
that was all you.
Sure. Look, I never said I like trains. All right, I don't know how to drive them. I'm going to derail them. It's what I do.
Yeah,
you put me in charge of a train. It's going to be a fiery wreck. And I'm going to roll down the hill to put the fire out to get away from the bear. That's what I do. But look, it was a fun couple of years. We basically just had a bunch of nonsense. I went back and I started playing all these games I didn't complete. I discovered, I love Jungle Beat. We celebrated Cobcock Day.
Oh God, yes, that was a terrific era of the site, if not of the games we cover. Oh God,
yeah, but I think after a couple years, there was that sweat again on our brow. Like,
I don't think so. I remember there was, I think maybe E3, the E3 before the E3 when Tropical Freeze got announced.
Yeah,
the one where there was just nothing. I think maybe that was 2012, and maybe that was when the Wii U was announced. I don't know the dates. I remember enjoying that thoroughly because there was fucking nothing. And it was hilarious.
Yeah, it was... I guess 2014 was the last E3 with... No, that's not really true. We had... I think that was when Big Reunion was announced. Maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, E3 like 2012 was really like the last completely dead E3 we've had.
And I just thought that was great because I just love creating bollocks out of nothing.
Yeah, I guess. Opinions may vary. But I remember thinking, God, if they don't announce something soon, it's going to be hard to keep up this momentum. And I didn't want to like go away. Like at this point, I was having too much fun with all of you and with the community to ever want to consider leaving DK Vine again. But I was starting to where I was like, because there was this opinion in the community on the DK Vine forum that basically said Returns was a one-off. that's it. Like you're lying to yourself if you think there's going to be anything more after this. It was a one-off nostalgia revival. Nintendo has no plans to continue. And I was like publicly denying it, but in the back of my head I was like, what if they're right? What if this was all just a one-time like reunion special, and the band's gonna go back to being broken up?
Well, we got Donkey Kong 3D.
Yeah, we got Donkey Kong Country Returns 3D. Donkey Kong Country Returns 3D was announced a couple of months before the E3 that really turned everything around into the era we find ourselves in now.
Happy 20th anniversary, DK Vine. In all my interactions with the DK Vine staff, they're the nicest, funniest, and some of the most creative people, whether it be bantering about on Twitter or attempting to write jokes for a video game. Sorry, this is Jamie from Off of Lobo Destroyo. I meant to say that bit before, sorry. As a non-forum member who's mostly coming into DK Vine from a podcast perspective and a Twitter follower, I can't really speak to the true inner workings of DK Vine's machine, but in working with Hyle and of course Chad over the years and getting to know some of the rest of the staff in passing on Twitter or checking out their artistic efforts and podcasts, I can vouch for my fandom for all things DK Vine and the people that make it happen. That extends to the type of people that make up the greater community too, which is why it doesn't really surprise me in the slightest that a site like DK Vine has the support and member engagement that it does 20 years after the fact. Since back in the day, I'd often hit the site for my bookmark list looking for some posts or images over the years, but it wasn't until I got into podcasts that I really started to see what DK Vine and its worship of the DKU is all about. And shortly after that, our game project kicked off and I realized how big of a deal DK Vine really is. DK Vine was a massive swell of support for our game project from the get-go. And while we've had some highs and lows with the project, and since it's kicked off, some people's opinion of what we've been working on might have changed, I can't say that I've ever changed in my opinion on the support and camaraderie that comes out of DK Vine. I'm only a pretend indie dev that doesn't actually have a title shipped yet, but it's evident from the fondness shown from legitimate companies like Rare and the Platonic team that DK Vine is a community that developers love to interact with and be a part of. Not many fandoms can come close to claiming that, and I think that is worth respecting. So congratulations on keeping together as a community for this long, and thank you for providing hilarious content for DK Vans old and new. Hyle, you've amassed a great collection of some of the internet's best like-minded weirdos, and I am just happy to have found my way towards it. So happy 20th anniversary, and congratulations again. Cheers.
Hey everyone, it's Dave from Dream Prism Press. I wanted to take a quick break from finishing up work on Yooka-Laylee and the Cracklestone to offer my congratulations to DK Vine for their 20th anniversary. You know, a lot like my friends from DK Vine, I had a really great experience growing up with Rare's legacy games, and it's fantastic to know that there was, and continues to be now, such a supportive fan community that has evolved over so many years. Being able to work with the folks who created so many of my favorite childhood games is pretty amazing. And Cracklestone has been an attempt to mix together so much of what I loved about Rare's legacy titles with my own personal memories and experiences from that time in my life. It's been a challenging 3-year development process, and sometimes I need to put something on in the background to keep me working when I'm getting a bit tired, and the conversation has kept me entertained for a surprising amount of Cracklestone's development. You know, since I'm a developer and also a fan, I get a sort of dual perspective on community organizers like DK Vine. It's at the same time inspiring to me to create my best work, and also meaningful to see how they grow and interact with a community of fans. I don't know what the future will bring for DK Vine, but I can promise the team that their efforts make a big difference to developers like myself, and that means a huge amount to me. So I hope you can look forward to many more years of crazy conversations, so congrats again.
Thank you, Dave, and look forward to reading it very soon, hopefully, and we'll have to have you back on the show when the time comes.
He's good, him. I like him. What an empty comment to make about a human being. But yes, thank you for your message.
And yeah, so going back in time, 2013, and they announced Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. And I think it kind of took us a little off guard. Like, by that point, we had gone into every E3, like, oh, maybe they'll announce a Donkey Kong game. Man, like after Returns, it was basically like, think we'll see another Donkey Kong game? Nope. Okay. So, I mean, that was 2 E3s in between. It wasn't much, but I think after E3 2012, we were just like, nah, not going to see another Donkey Kong game. Probably not. We'll just play along. And then we saw a new Donkey Kong game, and it was kind of just... I remember I was like laying in my bed on my laptop when that plane like fell down, and I was like, is that Donkey Kong music? And then he popped out, and I'm like, what the fuck am I watching? Like, did he just pop out of a space shuttle? Like, what's happening? And that was another huge day. That was almost as big as the day Returns was announced, because we got Dixie Kong back, which was a huge morale boost, I think. Seeing Dixie Kong in Donkey Kong Country again. It didn't even matter at the time that there were no Kremlings. Like, I think like the first half of that trailer, it was like, oh god, there are no Kremlings in this. Oh god, we thought the Kremlings were going to be back. Oh, it's just going to be another Donkey Kong game with no returning elements, and then Dixie Kong, and we're like, okay. It was kind of like when we got Diddy Kong when he showed up in the Returns trailer. It's like, oh, okay, we got Diddy. That's good. That's fine. That's enough. That's enough. I'll take it. I don't want to be greedy. I'll take it. And then Dixie was there. It's like, fine, that's good. I'll take it. Give me Dixie. And then we like run off like children with their Christmas presents. Which Christmas is a holiday that's not as good as Copcock Day, Matt. If you didn't know.
I've never heard of it. I don't know. Christ, what is it? Christ?
I'll explain it. I'll explain it later. We don't have time to really get into it. But suffice to say,
we can do an Oops All Tangents episode about it if you want.
Christmas, the history of Christmas. There are some donkeys, and then there's a corpulent man who's befriended by
I don't understand
northern elves, and he goes about breaking into people's homes
I don't get
eat
it.
Their pastries.
I don't think I'm getting this.
Yeah, it's a lot to get.
Yeah,
it's a lot to get. Not as simple as Copcock Day.
Yeah, no. Too much. The problem with Christmas is there's too much lore to get your head around before you can understand it properly.
Yeah, we don't like lore.
Day.
Yeah, we like to keep it simple. Just give me the elevator pitch. Excuse me, the lift pitch.
Yeah,
give me the lift pitch about what your holiday's on about, and then I can get on celebrating it. But I think bigger than Dixie. No, I know bigger than Dixie on that day was the announcement that David Wise was back, because
that was like a certificate of assurance of like, we know what you want, and
or basically we know what you want, but this is what we can give you, and we can give you David Wise, and they tried to get David Wise for Donkey Kong Country Returns.
It turns out we didn't know that at the time, though.
Yeah. Which, I mean, that would have I think melted our brains. But they got him for Tropical Freeze. And what I said earlier about we were missing the rare alum, that was kind of the first time that was really like, okay, not only is this a Donkey Kong Country game, but we have David Wise doing the music. It felt like the family being reunited just a bit, and it felt good. And that era, like Tropical Freeze up to its launch, was a very, very happy time. We were disappointed that Rambi was the only animal buddy, but the playable Cranky was cool. We got Funky Kong back. Just a lot of happiness. That was kind of the last gasp, I think, of the us versus the world mentality too, because you got the should have been Metroiders, which it really felt like we were being assaulted from all sides, from like professional video game critics who were like, Donkey Kong, and then the Nintendo fans who were like, well, we really wanted Metroid for the Wii U, so the Wii U could be the number one system of all video game systems, because clearly all we need is a Metroid game to turn sales around. That was rough. We tried to make light of it as best we could, and we tried to brush it off, but it did feel a little bit like, hey, we were kind of in the wilderness for a while. Can we enjoy this, please? This is we don't get to enjoy much, and this is our first new game in 3 years, and this is the 5th Donkey Kong Country game out, in almost 20 years. So lay off. But anyway, no ill will towards the should have been Metroiders. Water under the bridge. I am still salty about GameSpot and their very, very heinous review of Tropical Freeze that was clearly done out of spite and in no way done on the game's merits. But critical reception of Tropical Freeze has turned around. It's now universally regarded as a classic, and it's got sales now to back it up thanks to the Switch re-release of it. So,
well, we're supposed to be talking about the DK Vine community, so how...
We are!
How did you... what were your feelings about the community buzz around Tropical Freeze's incoming release at the time?
Everybody seemed to really love it, and it, of course there were some people who still felt like it wasn't enough like the rare games, and I understand that, but I felt like it was a good compromise between what we got with Returns and going back to a lot of the more classic elements, and the David Wise soundtrack just helped legitimize everything. I was like, okay, I'm hearing Donkey Kong Country music, like new Donkey Kong Country music, not just covers of... And the Return soundtrack was fine, and there were a lot of songs I really like on it that weren't, even composed by David Wise. Like some of the original songs on Returns I really like, but I'm biased, and I'm a huge David Wise fanboy, so to have him back and to have some new classic tracks.
Yeah, I adore the soundtrack to Tropical Freeze. It's possibly my favourite of David Wise's. It may have overtaken Donkey Kong Country 2.
It's up there. I like Donkey Kong Country 2, and that'll probably never be dethroned. I like Star Fox Adventures, and I like Tropical Freeze. Those are like my
And I like Donkey Kong Country 3, Game Boy Advance version. But, yeah. Oh, hey, I've also remembered the advent of Tropical Freeze's release was the first time since 2010 that the layout changed again.
Yeah.
We did that. We had the whole thing with the ship coming closer.
No. We had the Banjo-Kazooie... We had the Diddy Kong Racing 15th anniversary.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I'm wrong.
Yeah,
we
had
wrong.
The Banjo-Kazooie...
Wrong.
Yeah, you're wrong, Matt. Just
wrong.
Take your lumps. Deal with it.
Wrong.
Why were we celebrating the 15th anniversary of anything at the time? I don't
genuinely
know.
think it's because we didn't seriously think the site would be continuing to exist.
I didn't think that though. Like I was like, oh, I'm gonna stick with this for the rest of my life. Like I didn't think of it as a career still at that point. I was kind of adrift in life still, but I was like, yeah, I don't really want to walk away from this. So maybe you all were thinking it, and maybe that's why I got talked into participating in 15th anniversary nonsense.
We've got so many 15th anniversary things. And then we had the 20th anniversary for Donkey Kong Country, but that's I'm getting ahead of myself here now.
Yeah. I mean, we could just relitigate all the anniversaries we had during this time period. It's like we're at the age where every year it's like, oh, 20th anniversary of this. Oh, this game. Oh, our website.
This episode is a write-off, isn't it?
25th anniversary of Donkey Kong Country is coming up this November. Are we going to do anything for it? No, because it's the 20th anniversary of Donkey Kong 64. What's the priority here? This was a happy time, but it was also a time of continued growing pains. And I'm talking about the drama that soon ensued after Tropical Freeze's release. Because Tropical Freeze sold about 1 million copies on the Wii U. It did not do terrifically. It was a 1 million seller, but probably well under what Return sold. And yeah, the Wii U was a miserable slop of a failure. Had some great games, but it was a true clusterfuck financially. And so we were all kind of fretting the financial success or lack thereof of Tropical Freeze, how it would be perceived by Nintendo.
That's nothing to do with Tropical Freeze, surely. I mean,
no,
we all know this.
It was platformer fatigue, and it was that the Wii U was just a more-bound system already by early 2014. It was basically dead in the water. Mario Kart 8 hadn't come out yet. Super Smash Bros. 4 hadn't come out yet.
Looking back, it was just a joke, the Wii U, wasn't it?
I mean, it was just a joke. It had good software.
It was a shame, is what it was.
It was a shame. That should have been the quote on the back of the box.
It's a shame.
Or I think that was the quote in Game Informer, and then they put it on the back of the Wii U box. No, Mario Kart 8 came out. And of course, Mario Kart Wii was the previous console game, and it had Diddy Kong and Funky Kong in it. And we were all looking forward to Diddy Kong in this game, maybe Funky Kong, maybe Dixie Kong. I mean, it was coming out after Tropical Freeze, so maybe it'd have Cranky Kong in it.
Well, Funky Kong was a big surprise, wasn't he?
Yeah, that was a weird kind of blip in the buyout era. Why was Funky Kong in Mario Kart Wii? I mean, it makes sense when you look at what Funky is. He's the mechanic of the Kongs. He should be in the racer, but still, what? What? Nobody's ever adequately explained how they arrived at that decision. Funky Kong in this one random Mario Kart game, and then never again. Yeah, so Mario Kart 8 came out, and it was, I think by all metrics, the best Mario Kart game we had gotten since 64. Better than 64, let's be honest. It is probably the best Mario Kart game of all time. Because you go back and you play 64 now, and you're like, oh, I mean, this was cool at the time, but it's not as great as I remember. Not slagging it, but Mario Kart 8 pretty much just excels in every area. But it doesn't have Diddy Kong in it. And it still doesn't have Diddy Kong in it, even after the Switch re-release for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
Oh god, do you remember when they added all of the Koopa Kids to that game and not Diddy Kong?
I remember. Remember when they added Link and the Animal Crossing characters? And Cat Suit Peach or pink metallic gold rose colored Peach.
And this is all relevant to the episode because all of these things were scandals on the DK Vine forum.
They were community scandals. They were just I remember the tabloids that we were printing at the time.
That's the short-lived daily DK Vine. Not even the daily Vine, the daily DK Vine.
Not to be confused with Platonic's daily.
I suppose not.
It was a source of strife, but we did have Super Smash Bros. 4 to look forward to, because surely, coming out after Tropical Freeze, they were going to add some new Donkey Kong characters. We were all hoping for K. Rool, but K. Rool had been absent then for around 5 or 6 years. 6 years. So we weren't really, like, The hype for K. Rool really started with the ballot, but it was there during the initial hype cycle, pre-ballot, pre-release. We were hoping for Dixie Kong, we were hoping for some Tropical Freeze related stages, and we got none of that, Matt. And I remember Super Smash Bros. 4 was really the last indulgence I had of the ultra cynical version of me from back in the day. Like, that was me. I was going through, I was still going through some dark times. I mean, we always have dark times, I guess. It's never just.
Oh, no, I can completely relate. I think the build up to Super Smash Brothers for Wii U and 3DS, I just found interminably boring and annoying and depressing.
It wasn't even fun like Brawl was. It felt like, oh, we're doing this again? Oh, God. And it was draining. It felt nasty on all sides, not just in the DK Vine community. It felt nasty everywhere. Everybody was at each other's throats.
There was a nastiness to it. That's definitely part of it. I remember now. It sort of put me off the forum a little bit.
And I got swept away in that nastiness too. And again, regrets, but I was who I was, and I've learned from it. So I don't really want to go back and change that, because I might not be the person I am today. So, let 2014 Hyle be a ruinous piece of shit. Whatever. Don't change it, time travelers. Hands off. Hands off baby Hyle, who was a character in Mario Kart 8, but not Diddy Kong.
Yeah. They're really creative with how well you can customize your Miis.
This really deflated the feeling of goodwill after Tropical Freeze. And Tropical Freeze was like the start of the Renaissance. We didn't know it at the time, but it was the start of the Renaissance. But yeah, Super Smash Bros. 4 was really just bleak. And ultimately, it wasn't the snowman from Donkey Kong Country 3. If he was in it, we would have all like danced around naked in our bedrooms like you did when you found out you were on the DK Vine staff.
I never told you I was naked, but the fact that you know that detail is telling.
I'm always picturing you naked, to be honest, Matt. If I'm honest, you're always hanging dong, and I appreciate that. I don't know. I mean, good came out of it because the ballot, as awful as the ballot period was, and as much as it was like one body blow after another for all the Smash 4 DLC, it was like, oh, who are we going to get? Fire Emblem character. Oh, who are we going to get? Fire Emblem character. Who are we going to get? Cloud from Final Fantasy. Oh.
He looks a bit like a Fire Emblem character.
And not slagging Fire Emblem, but it just... It was like...
It's sort of funny looking back on it now.
Yeah, it is. And obviously
ridiculous.
We know K-Rool did very, very well in the ballot. Nintendo wasn't anticipating that. It kind of took them off guard. And they were just like, okay, we'll make K-Rool a playable character in the next Smash Brothers game. Can't do it here because we didn't really anticipate like K-Rool running away with this thing. King K-Rool of all fucking characters. But really, the community came together, not just us, but the Kremlin campaigners. I mean, they were the ones who did it. I mean, we were just adjacent to it.
Let's share the credit. Come on, let's share the credit. It was
when
partly
I say
because
the community,
of us.
I'm not just talking about DK Vine here. I'm talking about the community that sprung up around us, along our side. And yeah, I mean, what we know now from Dave Throat and from Sakurai's own lips then was, it was the ballot that got K-Rool in the game. And that was really, like, remarkable. We thought we failed at first, and it was really remarkable then just last year to find out, no, actually, we won. We came together, and we won the popular vote. We didn't win the Electoral College at the time, but all that matters is we eventually got our character.
Hello, DK Vine. This is Eric of the Kremlin Campaigner, and I'd like to congratulate you on 20 amazing years. You've worked hard in helping grow the DK fanbase, and as fans, there is certainly a lot to look forward to. Donkey Kong's first original game for Switch is inevitably in the works, and Universal and Nintendo are working on making our childhood dreams come true in the form of a theme park. Now, of course, King K-Rool will undoubtedly make an appearance in both, thanks to our efforts and yours during the Super Smash Bros. Fighter ballot. The Donkey Kong fanbase truly is full of some of the most wonderful people I've ever met, and all of the time we spent campaigning for K-Rool's return was absolutely worth it. The future of Donkey Kong looks brighter than ever, and you've been with our favorite franchise every step of the way. Thank you once again for everything, and I look forward to another 20 years of barrel blasting action. Thank you, DK Vine.
But yeah, I think the worst thing, though, about this era of Tropical Freeze, but then asterisk, is that Rare was beset with layoffs.
Yeah,
and
I remember this quite distinctly because I remember doing a news post about it that was quite sweary and aggressive.
We were all sweary and aggressive at the time, and I'm not going, like, did I overreact at the time? No, probably not. It was an ugly business reality, and it hurt to see so many beloved figures getting pink slips. And at the time, we didn't know what was happening at Rare. This was coming off the heels of Connect Sports Rivals, and we thought, oh man, Rare is just getting gutted. Like this is awful. Who's this Craig Duncan guy? A lot of preemptive jumping the gun, and ultimately, though, it was kind of like a forest fire. You've got to kind of clear the underbrush to allow for new growth. And I'm not saying that it was a good thing these people lost their jobs, but what happened after the fact is they regrouped. They came together. They formed their own studio. Rare started to rebuild themselves. And what we know as the Rare Renaissance was truly about to kick off at the beginning of 2015. So we'll get into that, but I want to take two more community messages from two members of other Rare fan sites who have some things to say about us, apparently. I'm dreading the amount they're going to slag us off to pump up their own website, no doubt. Here we go. Let's take them.
Hey everyone, Jeff here from Off of Rare Gamer. Just came by to congratulate DK Vine on 20 years, which is incredible and amazing and wonderful, and genuinely I'm excited for Hyle and the entire staff. It's pretty amazing to have a fandom like this stick around so consistently, especially going through, the ups and the downs that it really has. To come out this strong after 2 decades is really impressive, and it's in no small part due to the tireless efforts of the entire DK Vine staff, those that have come and gone over the years, and those that have stuck through for the vast majority. Rare fandom is something that you all who do know me know is very near and dear to my heart, something I like to celebrate. You'll see me on Twitter more often than not, just kind of reaching out to devs and congratulating them, praising their work. I just feel that so often game developers go kind of thankless, and video game fans in general can be a harsh bunch, and I got involved in this fan community in 2015 because I was really excited about the so-called Renaissance at the time, but I've stuck around because I've found an absolutely amazing community to celebrate these things with. Because of DK Vine, I initially got involved in just some of the online community. I set up a Twitter account. I started listening to the Kongversation back in 2015 when Yooka-Laylee and Sea of Thieves and Rare Replay were all announced pretty close together. From that, it's really blossomed as far as making friends and having positive interactions with them and with the developers. I've had some incredible opportunities. I got to help work on Rare and Friends and help produce the Logcast for almost 2 years, and have since moved over to Rare Gamer and written a review of Sea of Thieves, and hopefully more soon to come. But it's all thanks to this incredible community, and I'm so glad to have found DK Vine initially, and then everyone else around the Rare fan community and the offshoots. It's been an incredible journey. I feel very lucky to be involved with it and to get to know so many of these people. So once again, congrats DK Vine on 20 years, and maybe next year I can take you all out for a beer on your 21st. Cheers.
Hey DK Vine, it's Steve from Rare Gamer. First off, I just want to start out by wishing you guys a very happy 20th anniversary. I mean, there are marriages that don't even last that long, but you know what? You said we will stay together for the kids, and we will follow Royston through any game that he appears in, and you did it. And you kept on doing it. Even today, you're still putting out weekly features and updating the site, and honestly, it's really inspiring to see the amount of dedication and time that you've put into making DK Vine such an amazing place to visit. And to the community as well. I mean, you guys are all part of that hilarious, bizarre corner that DK Vine is, that Rare and Nintendo fans can come together, and whether you're completely new or you've been around since the very start of everything, you just feel like you instantly belong there. Sometimes I feel like the internet as a whole can get quite negative, and there's a lot of driving factors behind that. I think we gravitate toward extremes, so to see someone freaking out and ranting about something is going to get a lot of attention, whereas some thoughtful, constructive criticism and praise just isn't. So to have sites like DK Vine allowing fans to gather and discuss anything from off-the-wall conspiracy theories to just games that they're playing and enjoying is honestly heartwarming. And I hope that you guys keep the site going for like another 20 years, because the internet would be a lot more lonely without it. That said, I think it's time we raise our glasses high, put on some prosthetic golfing fingers, and warm up those crystal treadmills as we toast DK Vine for its longevity. Not only because they survived Y2K and GeoCities, but because it's the only other site where celebrating a cartoon stick figure in red underpants and a bowler hat as the second coming of Christ isn't just seen as a warning sign for a mental breakdown, but is actively encouraged. We share this padded cell together, you absolute psychos. Happy anniversary, guys. Give my regards to Al Carico.
No, Steve, you mistake what he's saying. Okay, never mind. Thank you, Jeff and Steve from off of Rare Gamer.
Another couple of lovely messages.
Yes.
We've both met Jeff in real life.
Oh, when did you meet Jeff?
It was over in the UK one time a while ago. Had convoluted circumstances, but yeah, nice guy.
Yeah, Jeff and Steve and I, we all got to go to Rare in 2016, excuse me. But that all started in 2015 with the Renaissance. And both Platonic and I guess the rebranding and rebirth of Rare as we know it today. And it's essentially like we have two Rare studios now. We have a studio that's kind of more like classic Rare, does things a little bit more like they did it back in the barns. And we have this newer Rare that's kind of like Rare for giant modern game development. And, you know, two great flavors, and we can enjoy them both at the same time. And it's wonderful. And I never thought, like, at the lowest points at the end of the buyout era and in the returns era, as we call it, I never thought we would get the Renaissance. And to see it really pay off the way it has been remarkable. We had Chris Sutherland on the Kongversation.
Yes.
In early 2015, and this was right after like they announced the formation of Platonic. And I remember like Platonic launched their website, and I immediately sent them an email. just like, hey, we're DK Vine. We're like one of the last surviving Rare fan sites, and we would love to get one of you on our podcast. And I was probably super creepy and off-putting. And
well, that's just your manner.
That's just who I am, and I think they realized it. Gavin, founder of Platonic, was very kind and reached out to us. And was like, "We'll put Chris Sutherland on the show for you." And we were like, "Oh my god, I know that name. I remember him from the Donkey Kong Country 2 credits."
And by the way, I cannot recommend that episode of The Kongversation enough. It's a fantastic episode.
That was like the first big get we got as far as interviews go. We were so fucking nervous. It's almost cute to look back how nervous we were. I was basically like trying to keep my voice from cracking. It was basically like I can't let Chris Sutherland know that I'm actually a whole mess of toddlers on each other's shoulders. That won't do.
But listening back to it, I think Chris sounds a little bit nervous himself. He seems a little bit.
It was a weird situation all around, because I don't think they were anybody at Rare and then Platonic were used to people fawning over them and saying, "We love you," like treating them like rock stars, because they were basically kept in anonymity at their time at Rare. That was the way the Stampers liked it. Like that's the reason in the end credits they were always just credited under vague names, like C. Sutherland. Like and you know, a few people like rose above that, like mostly the composers. Like you knew who David Wise was, but even like somebody like Greg Mayles flew under the radar.
Well,
like,
I remember in the early days of DK Vine, Grant Kirkhope was often credited as Greg Kirkhope.
We didn't know. We were like, oh we think we heard of Greg somewhere.
Probably it's Greg. What other names begin with a G? None that I know of.
So yeah, it was a weird experience. And then Yooka-Laylee was announced, the Kickstarter kicked off, and it like within like a couple hours it exceeded its goal. I mean that was just unbelievable. The outpouring of love and support it got. And then E3 2015 rolled around, and Rare showed off their new logo. Rare Replay and Sea of Thieves were announced, and that was the first E3 that DK Vine actually attended, minus any camera characters or demons who may have showed up in our absence in the past. Aussie Ben went one year, but it was never on official DK Vine business. He was just there, and he sent us some pictures. But yeah, that was the first year we were officially at E3, because we got tipped off by Rare, and they were like, "Hey, you might want to go to E3 if you haven't been." And we were like, "Well, we're not going to go to E3. We're going to watch it from home. What are you on about?" But we made the effort. We spent a horrifying amount of money to get out there. And it was a dream come true. We got to meet so many. I mean, go back and listen to those episodes of the Kongversation. Our week with Rare, I believe, from season 3. We met so many lovely people from both Rare and Platonic. Had dinner with Andy Robinson and Grant Kirkhope, which was surreal. And that was when we learned Grant Kirkhope is a fast-talking man. Hard to keep up with conversation. You're just kind of like mesmerized by how fast he talks, and you're nodding your head, and you're like, yes, yes, yes. We met Craig Duncan for the first time, Adam Park, so many people who have come to mean so much to DK Vine. I met Robin Beanland. I mean, I can't even like list the amount of people we met that year. And then we got to go back and try to like to the community. We were like, hey, Rare is back. Like this feels good. And of course, like there was a skepticism around Sea of Thieves, and there still is among certain sectors of Rare fandom, which is kind of funny to me because Sea of Thieves is just this runaway success now, but it's kind of brought in a new audience that isn't necessarily the same as the old Rare audience. There's crossover for sure. I'm included in that, as is most of the DK Vine staff. But it's weird how like Rare has brought in all of these new fans for the first time. I mean, maybe they did a little with Viva Pinata, but this feels like really since the first time, since the Nintendo days, Rare has injected new blood into what it means to be a Rare fan.
I remember Rare Replay being a big thing as well. Like, do you remember when me, you, and a few other of the DK Vine staff submitted our Rare Replay sing-along?
See, Matt, that's where you're remembering wrong. I did not participate in that.
Why not, you fucking idiot?
I was on vacation at the time, and...
Well, can I trouble you for it now? It's a Rare Replay.
It's a fun game. It's a song we all like to sing together. Thank you. Thank you.
That was brilliant.
Spent the better part of 4 years rehearsing that. Felt like it was finally aged like a nice dry wine. I don't even like dry wine. It's too dry.
I like wet wine.
Granted, I was given a bottle of sand and told it was dry wine, and I didn't enjoy it at all. Somehow
I still drank it. I mean, surely there's some alcohol in here.
I mean, I think there was a scorpion in it because I got drunk, and I think I just consumed its venom. Probably why I was paralyzed for the better part of a week. Huh. Anyway, I'm learning things about myself on this. It's the road of self-discovery never ends, sure. Matt. It never ends. Always keep growing and learning new things. That's my motto.
It is, isn't it?
It's one of my many mottos.
You should put that as one of the site mottos.
And you know, I feel like I'm underselling Conker's big reunion because that also happened in 2015 and it was a big deal. Like that was what they announced at E3 2014, I think. That was kind of like, oh,
it was a big deal, but because nothing came of it, it became a not big deal subsequently.
But I think because of that, I hold it closer to my heart.
Yeah.
I love Big Reunion, and that got me to buy an Xbox One. I was like, okay, all right, fine, I'll buy one. You got me, Conker, sure, okay, here's your money, Microsoft. Because remember, the Xbox One had a terrible rollout with just the Kinect, and it will spy on you for sure. We want it to spy on you, and like the disc will self-destruct, and it just all sorts of nonsense they put out there. And thankfully, like the culture at Microsoft changed very rapidly after that. Phil Spencer took over, supported Rare, and let Rare really develop the games they want to make, which, yes, includes Sea of Thieves. I'm sorry, Banjo 3 fans, but they wanted to make Sea of Thieves, and that is a very much a quintessentially Rare game. Check it out. For the first time in DK Vine's history, you look around the community and you see people actually genuinely be Xbox fans. They're not just reluctantly gritting their teeth and playing an Xbox because that's where Rare is. They're playing an Xbox because, holy shit, they love Xbox now. And look at our own Jeff Onan. Our own Jeff Onan. He went from hating the Xbox, all of the Xboxes, from Xbox to Xbox One.
To the Xbox 2. I really hope that next Xbox is called the Xbox 2. That would be brilliant.
I remember having discussions with Jeff way back in the day, and he was like, I feel like Microsoft, they're interlopers in the video game platform. They should not have a console. I don't like them. I don't care for them. They smell weird to me, and I can't even smell anything.
That sounds like the kind of thing Jeff would say.
And now he loves Xbox. He is the world's biggest Sea of Thieves fan. I would say he's the world's biggest Sea of Thieves fan. He runs Golden Sands blog posts, in addition to being a DK Vine staffer. And yeah, it just, the entire culture has changed thanks to Phil Spencer, thanks to Craig Duncan. And we also have Platonic now. This team formerly at Rare who's come together to make old school style Rare games. And so we kind of have the best of both worlds. We really do. Yooka-Laylee came out. And I loved Yooka-Laylee. A lot of people loved Yooka-Laylee. You know, got some mixed reception, but with Impossible Lair now coming out, that basically looks like a spiritual successor to Donkey Kong Country style games. And it's a little bit more than that. And there's a 3D overworld, or 2.5D overworld. I don't know how you want to define it, but
Impossible Lair is the thing from this last E3 that I'm the most excited about. I should also say that I only experienced Yooka-Laylee at the beginning of this year, because that's when I got my N64 style copy of the game for the Switch. And I think it is fantastic.
Yeah, you went in on the limited run thing, and you went for the extraordinarily extravagant collector's edition.
Yeah, well, I had it for PC, but my PC died. So it was like, oh.
Did a bear get it?
A bear got it.
You should have rolled the PC down a hill, Matt. I'm sorry to say, but that's how you could have saved it. You could have played Yooka-Laylee long before you got the limited run edition.
Well, apparently I did the right thing, because according to you, there was loads of updates in the interim that made the game better to play. Like, all the reasons you hate the game have been erased from the game now.
I hated the snowplow. That's basically all I hated, really. Snowplow was a pleasure to drive now. And I've never said that about snowplow in my life.
Oh, get you, Top Gear.
Things turned around. And we got to go to Rare in 2016, Chad and I, along with other people in the Rare fan community, which was a dream come true that I never seriously thought would ever happen. And it was delightful seeing how the sausage was made. Didn't even know they made sausage at Rare, but they make quite a bit of lumped together animal intestines. It's fantastic what they do.
Do you like them rare or medium rare?
Ha 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 ha. That was a joke, and I liked it. I clapped for it once. Yeah, you're welcome.
I'm gonna go now.
No, stick around. We still have somehow lots more episode to get through. Let's actually take the next two calls, and these are from frequent Kongversation co-hosts, but they also have their own much more successful enterprises than DK Vine.
I wonder who these could be.
I don't know. Let's hear what they have to say. Why don't we? Shall we? Let's do it.
Go
Ready?
on, then.
When I first became aware of DK Vine, I was scrounging through YouTube in the months leading up to Donkey Kong Country Returns' release, looking for any and all coverage I could find. I stumbled on a video of some guy who kept talking about Donkey Kong's Jungle Vine, and throughout his coverage of the game's enemies, he yelled through it all, using words I had never thought about using myself, but I found the video to be unlike anything else out there. A couple years later, I was made aware of the Kongversation when searching for a Donkey Kong podcast out of the blue, and I rediscovered DK Vine. And soon after, I was hooked. I burst out laughing reading their articles, picture descriptions, and adopted a good chunk of their in-jokes and running gags that I shared with the people closest to me. Since then, I've gotten to be a part of one of the most unique and passionate gaming communities, and have gotten to know so many great people that have made my time on the internet all the more fun and uplifting. It's awesome to have a group of folks who not only share a lot of common interests, but think about things that make me go, I thought I was the only one. I can't believe others have thought about this as long as I have. And things always get interesting when we stick together through both the good times and the bad. From the battlegrounds of Smash 4 to the day where the Donkey Kong universe was canonically reaffirmed, and everything in between. I was never ashamed to be a fan of anything I loved, and I'm glad that DK Vine was, and still is, a place that I can share that love with friends, colleagues, and the very people responsible for the things we wax on about. It's crazy to think, isn't it? So if I were to leave with some kind of inspirational thing, it's that you should never be ashamed of what you love, and that there's always some place to show it. For a lot of us, that's DK Vine. I love you guys.
When I was young, I was scared of growing up because I saw it as this square peg that I was apparently just going to have to fit into one day. Like, sooner or later, life would get its hooks in me, and I'd have to stop playing video games and grow up and be a man, because you can't do one if you do the other. I was 12 years old in 2000, right on the cusp of not being a kid anymore. And that's when I found DK Vine. That's when I discovered that these two guys who were older than me, and wiser than me, and cooler than me, were even more fanatical about Donkey Kong Country than I could ever imagine. Because of them, I hooked up my Super Nintendo and rediscovered this series that I'd played so much with my friends half a lifetime ago. Because of them, I realized so much more reverence and appreciation for it. I mean, I always loved the series, but seeing it through the culmination of other people's lens magnified just how much those memories and these characters and these experiences meant to me. I knew I wasn't alone. And I can honestly say that sense of community, that realization that in contrast to what everyone told me about games being for kids, so many other people cared so much about this thing that I loved, was absolutely critical for me. As I hit those teenage years, it reassured me that I could still be who I was, that I could still love what I loved, and that I didn't have to grow out of being a gamer. We might have been like-minded weirdos, but I learned that maybe I wasn't so weird after all. That maybe this special interest that society told me was a mark of immaturity was instead something to be celebrated. And that eventually, just maybe, adulthood could be something that I could define for myself. Happy birthday, DK Vine, and thank you.
No, thank you guys.
Oh,
yeah.
That touches on something that you were saying earlier about how now a site like DK Vine, not weird, but all those years ago,
no.
Weird.
Yeah, we were trendsetters in making weirdness not so weird.
Yeah, but that two lovely messages, Malik. I love Malik, and yes, never be ashamed of who you are. And I love that Josh Wallen describes you and Chad as older, wiser, and cooler than him.
Oh yeah, no, we are so much cooler.
What low standards must he have?
I don't even know what that means. I was gonna say something that would be like the stereotypical image of cool, and I'm just like drawing a blank. I'm just like, I think
it's someone that is a giant question mark.
No, those messages were much more elegant than anything Matt and I have said this entire time.
Yeah, it's annoying, isn't it? We've come up with nothing in this episode, haven't we?
I'll try to get my my last wind here. So the Renaissance continued. You know, you had Yooka-Laylee, Sea of Thieves, and Sea of Thieves just came out last year, but there was several years of technical alphas and closed betas and all of this.
Well, it was 2016 when you went to Rare to test it out, wasn't it? So
yeah, and then it came out early 2018. Yeah, but and then we were met with another Smash Brothers release cycle. And oh my god, the trepidation I had for this, Matt. Go back and listen to those episodes I did with Mitchell. Just about oh no, not again. Because Smash 4 was really just coupled with the Rare layoffs and everything else. It was kind of like the last time of cynicism
again
for DK Vine.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah. And I wasn't eager to relive the disappointment and the bickering and the fandoms being pitted against fandoms. I was past it. I was slowly getting to a better place, a better headspace, a better version of me. And I wasn't interested in doing this again. So I was like, if we're going to do this, I'm going to make sure I do it right this time. Like take all the disappointment at face value, laugh it off, and be happy for the people who get the characters they want. And I didn't have to do that for very long. So, E3 2018, we got Ridley announced along with like Daisy and the whole concept of Echo Fighters. But I got to play it. I got to play it with Mitchell, and I got to play it with Tanya. When we were all out at E3, we met up and we played it, and I loved it. And I was like, oh my god, this is actually really fun. This feels like Melee with all the little like tweaks and flourishes that Brawl and Smash 4 brought to it. But fundamentally, it feels like a better version of those games. It feels a lot like the Smash Brothers I loved. And then, the whole notion of all previous characters are back. We're not excluding anyone. That was enough to get me on board. I was like, okay, you know what? No matter what happens, I'm going to enjoy this because I'm happy that everyone is back. All these characters are back, that everybody gets a little something. We have Donkey and Diddy. That's enough. Whatever. Then August 8th rolled in. August 8th, 2018. King K. Rool in Smash Brothers. And this is all relatively recent history. I don't need to really get into it.
I'll tell you what, it's weird that it's over a year ago now.
I mean, not really weird. It feels like it's been roughly a year. Oh. I am good with clocks, Matt.
Okay.
I know.
So
right
I'm the
now
only member of DK Vine that still doesn't understand how time works.
It is 10:19
just
for you, Matt.
It's
according to my internal clock.
It's 10:19:59. Actually, it's
just turned over to 10:20. Excuse me.
And for you, Nigel, it is now 1992.
Nigel, who is currently living in the Bermuda Triangle.
We should keep doing these time checks.
You gobsmacked Nigel there. His other monocle fell into his beverage.
Why are you wearing two monocles, Nigel? Why not get glasses?
Yeah, he's wearing two monocles.
Or at least tie the strings of the two monocles together so that you've got something that can hold itself into place. No, idiot. He's such an idiot, isn't he?
No, it's because monocles are so much more expensive than eyeglasses, and he really wants to be a fancy man, doesn't he?
A fancy man. Yes.
Hyle fancy man. That's what I'll say when I wear two monocles. That's my name. Hyle fancy man, not a toddler. Atop a toddler, atop a toddler, atop another toddler, wearing a large coat, set on fire and rolling from a bear. K. Rool getting into Smash Brothers, and then us finding out in short order that it was because of the fan community. Holy shit. Like that.
Well, you remember the backlash from the K. Rool costume, the Mii costume.
Yeah, and they put that in there as a kind of...
It was like an olive branch.
A placating gesture, like, okay, we didn't see this coming. Here's this. Just like, but we read it all wrong. We read it as a middle finger, like a hearty fuck you to everybody who wanted K. Rool. Eat shit. But no, it was actually supposed to be a lovely gesture that we misinterpreted. And then, yeah, K. Rool got into Smash Brothers, the first time in 10 years he'd been in a game, and really a validation of Rare's contribution to Donkey Kong Country from Nintendo. It was not something we were used to, like a handful of Kongs, but since the buyout era, it'd been whittled down to just a select group of characters, if we were lucky. And to have K. Rool, I think K. Rool became sort of the epitome of what Rare characters were for Donkey Kong. He kind of like became this totem that we all hung on to, like if only K. Rool gets back, then everything's going to be okay. And it really did feel unbelievably surreal, like almost more surreal than when Donkey Kong Country Returns was announced, or when we found out David Wise was coming back for Tropical Freeze. It was, I think, this out-of-body experience that everybody felt in the community that day. That, is this really happening, or is this just a dream I'm having? Will I wake up soon?
If we're making this episode about the DK Vine community, though, I feel like I'd be remiss to not mention the fact that on the day that K-Rool was announced in Smash Brothers, the DK Vine forum was down.
Was it down?
I believe so, yeah.
I know it went down when Smash Ultimate came out for like a week, but
yeah, there was some issue. I think that was.
I'm sure there was always some issue back then. back in 2018 when we didn't know how to run a website. Ha. You really don't figure that out until your 20th year, you know? No. So to all of you, webmasters out there, is that still a term? Let's say it's still a term. To all of you webmasters out there.
I believe there's still a folder on the DK Vine root directory called webmasters. So yes.
Oh God, that's so quaint. It's so quaint. Like how our forum is under interactive. When you want to interact with the internet, when you don't want to just read it, when you actually want to like manipulate it, you have to go to interactive because that's where else you're gonna put a forum.
1999.
Oh, yeah. It was a simpler time. Bill Clinton and his penis were still in the White House. Tony Blair and his penis
were still in the Brown House.
Yeah. K-Rool and then Smash Ultimate, we all loved it. We all had a giddy old time. And then, of course, this past E3, not only did we have Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair, not only Sea of Thieves just had its anniversary update, where it's just such a robust, amazing game that everybody should check out, but we got Banjo-Kazooie back in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. And not only that, but a trailer that was an open acknowledgement of the Donkey Kong universe. Everything DK Vine has been built around for 20 years, finally acknowledged by Nintendo.
I remember watching that trailer and thinking, there's no need for us anymore. Our work is done.
That's the way I kind of feel a little bit. I see all the success Rare is having. I see Platonic flourishing and engaging in the same kind of humor we engage in. And I see, the Donkey Kong universe being acknowledged, and I'm like, is this time for us to just kind of move on? Is this where we kind of just glow in a spiritual light and just fade away, only to reappear as spirit guide for those who really need guidance in the future? I don't know. I don't think so. I instead view it as validation. It took us 20 years, but we are validated, Matt. We got free parking. Yay! And then, I'm looking around at the community now, and I'm seeing how happy everyone is. A lot of the angst that was there, like among the hardcore Banjo fandom, that wing of the community who are like, we really want a new Banjo game. Even that subsided now that we've got Banjo-Kazooie and Smash, because it's just a reminder that everything's going to be okay. You just have to stay positive. You can't go negative with this stuff. And if you put enough goodwill out there and you let the creators of what you love or the IP holders know that, hey, we really love this, but you do it in a nice way, they'll listen. Like, they're listening to us. Rare, Platonic, Nintendo, they're all listening to us. We went through so many years thinking we weren't being heard. And yeah, the community is being heard loud and clear every single day. Take my word for it. Trust me. So I guess the moral of the story is don't ever give up. And I guess that's why the DK Vine is still around after 20 years, is because I am stubborn. I am a stubborn asshole who just refused to give up. And there were so many times when we could have thrown in the towel. Could have been 2002 during the buyout, when we wanted to do web cartoons, or it could have been 2009, 2010, when we felt like there was no future anywhere in our fandom for what we loved.
We could give up now. Let's give up now.
We can just give up now. Hey, surprise, twist ending. This is the last episode of the Conversation.
Yeah, this is the final episode of the Conversation. It's been fun. It's been a good time that we've all had together on the Conversation, and I'd like to thank all of my colleagues on DK Vine, but this is the final. Let's not. Let's carry on. Let's carry on doing them.
So, got two other messages to play. These are from rather prominent members of the community, people with ties to both Platonic and Rare.
People with ties.
So I will...
People wearing ties.
Let's play them back to back. I'll just lump them together, and then we'll start wrapping this up in some time. I don't know how long it'll take. Probably a while.
Long time.
Hey, DK Vine. This is Daily Kong from Platonic. Happy 20th anniversary. That's a fantastic achievement. 2 whole decades of DKE nonsense. That's pretty awesome. I've always seen DK Vine as a kind of pillar of the Rare and Platonic communities. Like, you're kind of like this, I guess, hub of excellent weirdness is how I would describe DK Vine to someone who, perhaps didn't know what it was. I think we've got a very special and passionate and welcoming community. Like, generally, Donkey Kong and Banjo fans, we're definitely a special breed of weird and wonderful, I would say, and DK Vine absolutely fosters that. Like, it's a place to kind of celebrate that pretty specific, those pretty specific interests. So it's, it's great to have you around. Thanks for being around and stuff. You certainly make my job more interesting too, reserving questionable domains as a joke. But no, good stuff. And I'm glad you're still around. And can you stay around at least until I retire, because it helps me with my job. So again, no thanks though. You give me and other weirdos just like me a place to call home. So good shit. I approve. I endorse you fully. Bye.
Hello DK Vine, Chris Oakar here from off of Scribes. A little parallel bird told me that you guys might be celebrating your 20th anniversary, so I immediately rushed over to the PC to record a little something for you. Unfortunately, the parallel bird was still following me. He smacked into the ceiling fan, and yeah, he's dead now. But what's not dead is DK Vine, 20 years on. DK Vine? DK Vine. Never known how to pronounce that. Oh well. And when I think about what it is that's allowed the site, DK Vine, and its community to flourish for as long as it has, well, the answer's obviously Bear. But I think the less obvious answer is love. A real love for what games are, or not what games aren't. So much of the time, when fans talk about their favourite games, it's like a dissection. You look at some of the most common kind of YouTube video archetypes that gamers watch, and it's unused content, deleted content, what isn't in the game. Can we use a hacking tool to take the camera into a bit of a level that we're not meant to see? Can we take the environment from one game and put it in another so we can see what it's like to run around Spiral Mountain as like Mario rather than Banjo? Which is fine. It's all coming from a place of curiosity. I've done it. I like those videos. But sometimes it can feel that the first instinct of a gamer is to focus on everything that they didn't get. And what DK Vine fans do that's pretty unique in that is that they spot a hole, like a problem with the lore, a missing bit of story, a glitch, anything like that, and they try to fill it. They try to replace the isn't with an is, to express their love of the game not by tearing it to bits out of curiosity, but by building it up, fleshing it out, making it stronger and more real, and letting their own creativity flow in the process with fan art and maps and songs and prosthetic golfing fingers and holographic swordfish doppelgangers. So, here's to another 20 years of hanging out with like-minded weirdos and celebrating everything about the games that started so many of us on our own adventures. So here's to always obsessively reading the instruction manuals, here's to Scribes, and here's to another 20 years of love.
Oh, thank you, you two. It's really sweet. I don't really... Just touched.
Just as a sort of distillation of everything that makes DK Vine interesting and like that makes it stand apart. If it does indeed stand apart, maybe it doesn't, but that was great. And Daly, well, she's a funny fucker, isn't she? please keep going until I retire, so I can still. Fantastic.
Meanwhile, I have no money for retirement saved up at all. But it's fine. It's fine, Daly. Sure, whatever.
She described DK Vine as excellent weirdness. So yeah, I'll take that.
I'll take that. I'll wear that as a shirt. I'll put it on my torso. Why not?
It's another interesting point Alcock raises. I call him Alcock. I feel we're on last name terms. Is how do you pronounce DK Vine? Is it DK Vine or DK Vine? DK Vine or
I always
DK
say
Vine?
DK Vine.
Yeah, sometimes I say DK Vine. DK Vine. Write in. Tell me what your pronunciation preference is.
Right into our letters column that hasn't existed
please,
in years.
Letters at dkvine.com. Send us a letter.
So, by the way, that was the second reference to prosthetic golfing fingers in these warm messages. So I'm glad that people have fully absorbed our nonsense. I appreciate that. All right. We do have another message. It's going to be a little bit different, though. So before we get to that, and we've got a call that's split into two, but from one person that I didn't solicit calls, but I wanted to take this one. We got it in our hotline the other day, and I wanted to play it because it would be a good segue into the end of this episode. But I got to get to the rest of due diligence, Matt. I have to do it.
Okay. Please go to www.dkvine.com.
Yes. Thank you. That is our website. It has been around for 20 years, and it is still around.
Although, interestingly, as I discovered, you only had the dkvine.com URL from mid-January 2000. So technically, there'll be a second anniversary episode for the actual URL coming up.
We'll celebrate the URL. That will be even longer than this one. With 40 community messages. We were broke kids, essentially, and we could not afford a domain, but we wanted to get the site, because back then, like, domains were, like, more money, I think.
Yeah, they were,
yeah, you couldn't just buy them on the cheap, like, at least not from what I recall, but we wanted to launch the site 3 months out from Donkey Kong 64's release, so August 22nd, 1999. But we couldn't afford the domain, so we were like, well, we'll start it, and it'll just be like on GeoCities or whatever, and then we'll like build up maybe a little bit of a following, and then we'll have the domain name when we can afford it, which was 6 months later, 5 months later, 4 months later, 5 months later, whatever. I'm not good at the maths, apparently, Matt, but I am good at clocks.
What time is it now?
It is 10:36 for you, Matt.
Oh my god. You're like Nostradamus,
right.
But who can tell the present.
Now, what time is it for Nigel?
Nigel, it's just coming up to 8:107.
Okay. So you can also follow DK Vine on social media. We're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, and Joe is running the Instagram now. And social media is really where we have expanded the DK Vine community. Like 37,000 some Facebook followers. The Twitter crowd is growing by the day. And I'm always just so pleased when somebody new discovers us for the first time. It's like, oh wait, there's a Donkey Kong website and it talks about Banjo. What is this? What is this nonsense? What do you mean Tricky is the same Tricky from Diddy Kong Racing? What? Wait, who's Royston?
Please go to Twitter and go to #DKUFacts to see some of the fascinating tweets Hyle's been putting out about facts from the DKU. They're some of my favourites.
Some nonsense, some really interesting shit. So check it out. We're also on YouTube at dkvine.com/pootube. We want to get Nintendo President Shintaro Furukawa on the podcast for the big spotlight episode for Mario Golf Game Boy Color this October, so help us do that. Wow, we were nervous when Chris Sutherland was on the show. Imagine how nervous when we'd have the Nintendo President on the show. Probably less nervous, actually. Yeah. I think Chris Sutherland was more intimidating because it was C. Sutherland from the Donkey Kong Country 2 credits. Nobody's found the missing episode of the Kongversation Season 6 yet. The first person to do so and at us on Twitter with where it is gets an autographed copy of the Sea of Thieves #1 comic book signed by the author, Jeremy Whitley. So, bragging rights and a collectible that you will probably be able to retire on. Unlike me, I'm giving it away. I won't be able to sell it and have retirement money. I'm going to be working until I'm in the grave. When that bear finally gets me and it spits me back out in a pit, I'm going to be still typing this nonsense until my thumb stops twitching. Also, Matt, we also have another stupid thing. Oh. The first person to record a roughly 6-hour audio commentary on our audio commentary.
Has nobody done this yet?
Ukulele commentaries will get to pick a topic of the Kongversation this season within reason. So it could be the Christmas episode where we explain Christmas.
This is my favorite one because the amount of effort it would take to actually do this compared to the quality of the prize is roughly proportionate. I
know, but look, I'm giving away prizes all week on Twitter. I can't really give away anything better for this. I'm not made of money. I have no money for retirement, and a bear is going to eat me, Matt. My future is bleak, so this is as good as it's got to get. All right. So Matt.
Yes, Hyle.
This is going to be a bit weird. So we got one other message. It's not in audio form. So okay. It is from a beloved staffer of Rare, the person who I would say is responsible for birthing the modern Rare fan community. Before DK Vine, there was Rareware. There was Scribes. And it's Scribes that a lot of us first found each other or became aware of each other. It's where Chris Alcock first surfaced. It's what Daily read. And it's what Chad and I obsessively pored over before we met each other.
Oh, no, it can't be, can it?
Oh, it can. And
no.
I want you to read it because your accent is closer to his accent than my accent is.
Oh, this is just a text-based message.
It is a text-based message because this is a man who prefers not to be recorded by any electronic devices. He is a man of mystery. He refuses to have his face be recorded for posterity. He lurks in the shadows. We know him as Lee Loveday. Matt, would you read this message from Lee Loveday?
I'll do my best. Hello there. What kind of bloody idiot spends 20 years running the same website? Oh, wait a minute. We both have. That was my opening joke. I hope you liked it. Congratulations to the DK Vine community on 2 decades of building unspeakably niche expertise. Long may it continue. I'd like to thank its staff and forum folks throughout the years for sending emails, tweets, and Scribes questions that didn't make me want to bite keys out of the keyboard and spit them into my own eyes! I've also written a poem for you all. It's called DK Vine, It's Probably Fine. Here we go. DK Vine, it's probably fine. Does it have the broad appeal of Calvin Klein? No. But it does know a lot about Grab by the Ghoulies, so shove that up your arse, Calvin Klein. All the best, Lee.
Oh.
I tried my hardest.
No, it was lovely, Matt. It was everything I had hoped to be. I not read that beforehand.
Well, me neither, because you just pasted it into the document.
Yeah, no. I grabbed it from the email without reading it. I copied, averted my eyes, and I pasted it. And that's why I fumbled for so long, because it's really hard to copy and paste something without looking at it.
It is. It's hard to read something without reading it.
Cameron in the live stream chat says, "Thank you for your interest in DK Vine," which is how I should reply, and I think I will. But thank you so much, Lee. Seriously, we wouldn't be here without you. None of us would. You were ground zero, the Big Bang. You were the spark that lit the fire. We didn't start the fire, says Billy Joel, but you did, sir. So good on you. All right, we do have a call to take. And again, I did not solicit calls for this, but if you want to call for future episodes, don't forget to call the DK Vine hotline at 1-202-630-VINE. But this is from one of our regular callers, and it touched me, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna play this on the air, because this will be a good segue into my final thoughts. So here we go. It's in two parts, because our hotline brutally cuts you off after 3 minutes, and sometimes you want to talk for 5 minutes and 32 seconds. So here we go. Let's take this call from Karakong.
Hi, this is Karakong, or Kara, or whatever the hell. So, I don't know if you're taking calls for the 20th episode, or 20th anniversary, not 20th episode. But I figured I would give a call and kind of give a guest statement of what DK Vine means to me, kind of in a history sort of deal. So, back when I was like 12, I started to get really into, I had gotten Banjo-Kazooie when I was 11, and when I was 12 I got Banjo-Tooie. I was looking for cheat codes online and ended up just finding the whole entire Rare community. This was back in like 2004, early 2004. And I just, I remember stumbling upon DK Vine, and I was a dumb 12-year-old kid, and I found the site to be hilarious and my favorite thing ever. I would read it during like computer lab at school and things like that. It was probably not the best thing to read at school, but whatever. It was great. I was too, scared and to join the forum for a long time, which is understandable because when I was 12, I did not have good online penmanship or anything like that. I was kind of the worst, just typical 12-year-old kid on the internet, which is not good. I ended up joining Rare Extreme later on and ended up joining DK Vine a little bit later, I think when I was like 13 or something, way older. But I kept up with the site for many years after that. I think I remember the Brawl stuff, and I still kept tabs on everything. But somewhere around the time after Nuts and Bolts and between Nuts and Bolts and around the time Return started, when the whole place just kind of imploded. Not just you guys, but the entire Rare fandom as a whole. I dropped out and didn't pay attention to you guys for years. And then sometime about 2015, actually we found you guys back in 2014 on Facebook, but then didn't really rejoin the community or find any of this again until 2015, after the beginnings of the Renaissance started, which was like, it was great. Rejoining everything, I kind of felt like, hey, it's kind of the fandom that created me and created what a lot of I was online. And like I met everyone there. Okay, yeah, me again. I should have known it would pass 3 minutes. But where I was rejoining back in 2015, it was kind of lonely being a Rare fan for a long time because no one really understood that. Well, I kind of got made fun of a little bit, jokey, like not made fun of, but like people teased me for being a Rare fan and 20 whatever. Anything. But it was nice having, a bunch of weirdos like me still lurking about and seeing that fandom flourish back up and meeting everyone that I have met now. It was really great. But things got a little busy in my life and, just 2016 wore everyone out, so I just kind of disappeared for a while. But there's always something about DK Vine. I just always end up coming back to it, and I think that's kind of special about it. It'll always come back no matter what happens to me. And I ended up coming back here this year. So like I've explained before that I have a lot of family memories about Donkey Kong, and that's kind of part of why I fell in love with Donkey Kong, fell in love with Banjo. I guess, long story short, my father passed away, back in February, and things have been really hard. But there was just something about once Banjo came back, that just kind of made me, Banjo came back in Brawl, that I just fell back into the community, and it's good to have that, because these things will always kind of be, I don't know, it's like you like-minded weirdos are kind of like a second family to me. And now that I don't have the same family I used to have, it's nice to have something that's consistent. So what I want to say is just thank you, Hyle, and thank you everyone else that always participates. And just you keep doing what you're doing, and I will always be a fan, even if I disappear for some time. I'll always come back. DK Vine's a lighthouse like that. But thank you, and I hope to talk to you guys again in 2039. All right, thanks. Bye.
2039.
Yeah. Thanks for the call, Kara.
Bless you, Kara. That was fantastic.
Yeah, I'm so sorry to hear about your father.
Yeah.
But I'm so glad you found your way back to us. In a strange way, this community is a family. It's my family. And I'm going to say some stuff now, Matt, and I might choke up a bit. So I need you to help me sop up my tears across your naked dancing body, if it comes to that.
I'll just say something about wanking once you've finished, and then probably that'll diffuse the atmosphere.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. It wouldn't help dry my tears. It would just, produce more
moisture.
I want the dry wine, the bottle full of sand and scorpions, Matt. If it comes to that, but no. DK Vine. That's the way I say it. DK Vine. I didn't think I'd still be doing this 20 years later. I didn't think this would be my career, my life's work. And I didn't think I'd get to the point where I wouldn't think that statement is utterly pathetic, and I'd shout down anyone who tried to challenge me on it. No, I was going to be a screenwriter or a respectable author with books and things, and nah, here I am, and I guess I should have always known. I think I liken it to the finale of the television bar sitcom Cheers, which dealt with Ted Danson's character of Sam Malone. He was struggling, Matt, because he was thinking that the love of his life was Shelley Long's character, Diane. But upon hopping on a plane together, they both realized they just weren't compatible. And so he returns to Cheers, and it's there where the beer-swilling regular, Norm, makes him realize the true love of his life is the bar itself. And so in this analogy, I am Ted Danson, and DK Vine is my alcohol shop.
I've never seen a single episode of Cheers.
Well, I just spoiled the ending to Cheers, so you're welcome. Now, I fondly remember when I was a kid, sitting in the back seat of my parents' car on those long family vacations, holidays, as you call them, Matt. And I would have Nintendo Power magazine or instruction manuals in my hand, and just poring over details, looking for anything I missed, and I would daydream. And, this would have started around, I think, these particular daydreams at least, around 1996, right around the time before Donkey Kong Country 3's release. And I daydream about reaching out and communicating with fellow Donkey Kong Country fans. Like, wouldn't it be amazing to somehow start a fanzine or something? Even if I didn't know what that term was then, I guess I would think of it as like a newsletter. But what if I could write articles and share fan theories and connect to Donkey Kong fans across the country or even across the world? And I do like mock-ups of these newsletters at home. I would take just blank sheets of printer paper and a Sharpie marker, and I would just, for my own amusement, like write up like these DK fandom newsletters. And I guess that was the prototype of DK Vine. It's a shame I don't actually still have any of those. But I guess in short order, the internet was ubiquitous, and everyone is getting online, and like-minded people were trying to find each other, and I tried to find them too when I first got online. I joined the Nintendo Insider forums the summer Banjo-Kazooie came out, and boy did I piss people off. The guy who wouldn't shut up about Banjo-Kazooie on the Banjo-Kazooie forum. And I would go on about how amazing it was that Banjo was introduced in a game that was starring Diddy Kong, and the implications of Naughty and Click Clock Wood. My God. But at the same time as me failing to make friends and influencing people, I also discovered Rare's site and the writing of Lee Loveday, which essentially became my Shangri-La. And I'll be having an entire episode of the Kongversation soon dedicated to the classic Rare site, and Scribes in particular. So I'm not going to get into that here. But it was Rare's site that really made me think that there should be a fan-driven version of that, like kind of tailored to what I was most excited about by Rare's games. And that was the shared universe. And then Chad joined the Insider Forum, and someone put us in touch because we were both awful weirdos. And it turns out he was thinking about doing a website, and we put our expertise together, yada yada yada. DK Vine was born a few short months later. But the community came even later after that. Initially, we were resistant to having a forum because we didn't want the chaos, the amount of opinions that weren't our own on our own website. But over time, it became vital, the defining part of what made DK Vine. And now that community is more than just a forum. It's our social media followers. It's our Kongversation listeners. And it's not just confined to DK Vine. I mean, it's spread out among the other Rare and Donkey Kong fan sites, the ones who sprung up in the collapse of our first generation brothers and sisters. I mean, you've heard from some of them in this very episode. The fan community, it's even fed back into the studios themselves, with like-minded weirdos now working for Rare and Platonic. And I look around and I think, wow, I was an only child growing up, small family, but now I have the largest family in the world. I could have used DK Vine when I was a kid. At my most insecure. Donkey Kong Country made me realize there's a video game company that thinks the way I think. Maybe I'm not so weird. But in my day-to-day life, I was still alone with my thoughts and my passions and my just ideas of the way the world should work. And I submitted to the notions of what was and wasn't normal. And I tried to hide my best self away from the world. And it would have meant a lot to me to have a community I could go to every day after school, after I'd been teased or mocked for being me, and then be surrounded by friends who saw the world the way I wanted to see it. And now I'm an adult, and I'm not alone anymore. And I've come around to loving and accepting myself. And if I can help just one kid out there who, likes this stuff and isn't just into Fortnite or whatever, but if I can realize that they're not alone, that they're not weird, but actually it's perfectly fine to be a weirdo anyway, so fuck it. If I can help that kid, if we can help that kid together, then to quote Sam Malone from the Cheers finale, One for the Road, first aired on the 20th of May, 1993, I'm the luckiest son of a bitch on earth. 20 years, and DK Vine will still be here 20 years from now. Mark my words. This is no time to die. We're not going anywhere. And the biggest lie we're told as kids, like Josh Wallen alluded to earlier, is that one day we have to put away the joys of childhood. And that turns out that's simply not true. So I want to thank you, Matt, for aging gracefully with me.
Thanks very much.
And for everything you've done for the site and for this community. And I want to thank all of the DK Vine staff, past and present, for their contributions. I want to thank our patrons, our YouTube audience, our social media followers, our forum members. I want to thank everyone at Rare and Platonic and Nintendo. And I want to thank you for listening. I've met my absolute best friends through this nonsense. And people I care about on an almost supernatural level, who I absolutely love. Yellow heart emoji. And on that note, is there anything you would like to add, Matt?
I like it when Donkey Kong plays the bongos.
You know what, Matt? So do I. And 20 years on, I look at other fan communities, beset by buyouts, where Spider-Men are no longer allowed to be in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, And I say to them, just give it time. Give it time. Give it 20 years, and you'll get your way again.
This has been a File 2 production.
Que rico.